All right, welcome in, everybody. We are back. We are live, the Sunday night edition. The playoffs are here. We are just a couple of minutes away from the Spurs playoff game. We're excited to get back into the playoffs for San Antonio. Hey, yo, it's all we can do to contain ourselves, but we do, hey, I'll pause, but we do have to, of course, be basketball journalists to start. We do have exciting fourth quarter action here between the Magic and the Pistons that we do have to focus on before we get to Blazers Spurs in a second. But, hey, yo, they've got Wemby in the primetime spot tonight. They had LeBron in the primetime spot last night. So, Wemby, LeBron, the faces of the league at this point. I mean, I think it's safe to say, it's pretty much the league making the statement right there. But Orlando has, I guess, now gotten to 100 points first. I don't know what that means for the playoffs, but obviously it's a good thing. 101 to 92 now with about 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Cade has definitely been carrying a little bit offensively here for a little bit. But, I mean, Orlando, shout out the end of the season random turnaround that they've made. I mean, just getting into the playoff through the play game, it wasn't even a success. It was almost a bummer. I mean, of course, the way that they played in the play-in game versus Charlotte with those types of inconsistencies, are they going to be the most fun playoff team if they are that type of up and down performances that we're going to be having in these national TV games? But regardless, the Orlando did step up, and Charlotte's still the little bit of the younger team as well too at this point. So maybe it's Orlando's appropriate time in the timeline to be making the playoffs as well too. And then again, you got Charlotte unfortunately missing this year, even though I guess they were the 10 seed anyways, and Orlando was the 8 seed. So again, the play-in did kind of work out to the regular season standing of it all, and it was still at the end of the day a good season for the Hornets. You can't, like we were saying in the loss, I don't know if you can overreact too much from a play-in loss. It is still a bummer of a performance in the way that they just showed up, and there's things to evaluate there. But for Orlando, anyways, again, the complete opposite. It's like, this is actually a bummer that they're in the playoffs. We don't want to see this offense. This is going to be these slow, boring, just uneventful playoff games. The Orlando Magic have been, I mean, it's difficult to call them the bummer of the league, because, again, there are teams that are actually, like, real bummers this year. I mean, teams that have, is there a team that has under 20 wins? How many of them? With the way that tanking was getting out of control. I guess we got 2 this year with the Wizards and the Pacers, and then the Brooklyn right at 20. Utah, Sacramento, Memphis, New Orleans, and Dallas all in the 20s for wins. So, 8 teams with fewer than 30 wins this year. Again, you still have teams that are disappointing in a sense, but still, even Washington was supposed to be bad. Indiana, Halliburton got hurt in the finals. Brooklyn, the bummer for them started in the draft, not in the regular season. They were already bummed going into the regular season. Utah, we just assume that they're gonna, Danny Ainge at this point just still tanking until we don't see him tank. I guess it is what it is. Same with Sacramento, Memphis, and then you have Atlanta as the pick. New Orleans, as a team that I guess they're like, okay, can we be good at some point? Just any year now, well, it'd be nice to be good. And then Dallas, you're starting the year off with Cooper Flag. I guess there was expectations for him because, of course, it was the Flag Davis situation. Is Cooper Flag going to be by the way, with the way that he's playing at the end of the year, it would have been interesting as well, too. It obviously is going to take a second for any rookie to acclimate to the league. And by take a second, 50 games is not even really that much in the grand scheme of things, but still, again, it is that little bit of a month or two waiting process before it's like, okay, are the Mavs, because it's different when it's like, okay, this is working from a basketball standpoint, then it's like, okay, they're going to take that and be competitive with it right away from like against the best teams in the league, in year one. But, unfortunately, the Davis stuff didn't quite work out for Dallas. And now, speaking of Washington, it didn't quite work out, I guess, for Washington yet either. We'll see what happens there. But, again, I guess Milwaukee is maybe the other team that would be there. Because Again, I think all of the teams that underachieved outside in Milwaukee, 32 wins. Like, hey, what a season, Chet! 32 wins. They really have something to be proud of there. But what was there here? Let's look up their over under with Giannis. There's no way that they were under 45. Were they? If they were 44 and a half, then we're gonna put it in the not surprising category. But 45 and a half, then surprising. But you imagine if, Giannis is going to be out there for the full year, you could even get a 50 game over under 43 and a half. Hey, yo. So again, they were already kind of supposed to be, I mean, were they going to be trading Giannis with like 30 some wins in the season and then win a couple more? I don't know. But then again, like Charlotte overachieved, but at the cost of, again, Dallas and Chicago and Milwaukee. And I think the Giannis trade rumors were already built up anyways. So if of all of the superstars in the league that we were looking at going, who of the league is going to be requesting a trade by the trade deadline, we kind of assumed it was going to be Giannis anyway. So I know Milwaukee fans are, bummed that the things are starting to become a reality with him potentially leaving the franchise. And again, we still have the off season. What's the Miles Turner move that they're going to make this year that's going to save them? But maybe, and Golden State losing through the play-in is a bummer as well, too. 37 wins. I guess the Golden State fans are kind of bummed for the year, for sure. Again, obviously just bummed making the playoffs, but the bummer scale, I guess, it still seems like it could be a sleeper, like not quite as... and were the Warriors as of a bummer to watch as well, too, as the Magic? There were some nights, I tell you. Hey, yo, it is what it is. When Steph's not out there, the Warriors can be one of those teams. But, again, when the Warriors have Steph, the Warriors are clearly far and above the entertainment value. Hey, yo, I guess the page is not going to load right now. It is what it is. Are we on the main... Where's 25-26 Golden State? I guess, can we just find Steph Curry's player page? Maybe we'll see if we can get a different link to get us there. Or Basketball Reference is just going to be tweaking right now. It is what it is. But, either way, they would still be contenders. And then Philly, Philly's, still probably going to be pretty happy with the way the season turns out, with the way the roster looks. I guess we could get to some of the Maxey stuff as well, too, but there is a lot on his shoulders, so, we're not going to, we're going to say, like, we could get to criticizing Tyrese Maxey for losing to the Celtics later, but, again, how critical can you be of that necessarily? What kind of expectation, do you hold him to at some point there? But still, 41 games for Steph Curry this season. Again, when he's out there, the Warriors are... clearly one of the, do you say one of the more entertaining teams in the league? But Steph is obviously, one of the must-watch players in the league even still. But the Magic have just not been that. Is there a winning team that's more disappointing to watch than Orlando? I don't know. Again, shout out Orlando on the, I guess, we're talking bummer rankings, the watchability rankings. If we were talking league watchability rankings, Orlando would have to be on the bottom. So again, it is a bummer that, quote unquote, they were in the playoffs anyways, but I guess it's working out. I guess if we're talking game 1 steals, this is it. And, obviously 7-game series, this is what we were talking about with the play and with Charlotte even, obviously, Charlotte, you can't overreact to one game. Is Detroit going to trade everybody before game 2? Is that how, I guess, with 3 minutes left, are they going to trade everybody? Obviously the 7-game series, there's going to be a different valuation. I mean, if the Pistons lose in the playoffs after winning 60 games, in round 1, that's going to be disappointing regardless. We're not saying that, but we're just saying the individual result of a game 1. I guess, even more so than you have a chance to, compete. Obviously you can completely overcome that and, win the series, and now all of a sudden you're moving on. Even Pistons in round 2, I guess, like a Cleveland matchup, Donovan Mitchell, obviously star player. If he's cooking in the playoffs this year, then, maybe it's just like, well, what do you do? It's just Donovan Mitchell's year or something like that. Obviously, again, the Pistons do have higher expectations than that. But once you get to round 2 with this team, there is a little bit of clearance because they also just haven't been that far with this group as well, too. And this group just is still newer to making the playoffs. Last year they weren't really expected to win versus the Knicks. The Knicks being the more veteran team, but now again with them having the playoff experience and the regular season proof of concept, it is actually fair to at least assume that they would win one round. Hey yo. But I guess with the Magic, we have to go back and look at a couple of those last week numbers. I don't even know what we can pull up because the end of the season is I guess any point of the season, you can start putting stats together to, make cases or whatever. But the end of the season can typically become a more difficult time to evaluate performances because, again, there is the separation of talent in the league becomes a little bit more aggressive down the stretch and especially, this year, where, like we said, you have a lot of teams that are going to be, focused on maybe, but they'll be off-season focused. They're focused on the draft and bigger picture team building than just individual. What's the LinkedIn version of tanking? I don't know. But they're just focused on, bigger picture, culture, talent acquisition than they are individual net positive game results or something like that. I don't know. But, we had a lot more teams in that category this year than in the past. So it's like, okay, are the Magic doing good because some of these teams are all of a sudden, now the talent's looking different. Now they're playing against other degrees of the degree of difficulty has decreased. And now even if their offense is not even functioning, it's just like the talent, again, it's Franz and Paolo and they're going to be able to go out there and get some wins. Desmond Bane. But hey, maybe actually being healthy and playing together and cohesive, I guess, do we go like a starting lineup check and see how many different versions of the lineup that they have? Because again, but like we're saying, all season it was just the expectation of them winning more regular season games, I guess. And this is where the playoffs can be weird in that way, where would Orlando feel better about themselves as a franchise if they were in the second round compared to Detroit, even if the way the season played out? Like, Mosley is in a but he's in a weird spot right now as a coach. I mean, obviously there are good things that he has done there with the defense, and I think even there's still like some young star personalities there, and it seems like he has done done like a good job of balancing all that. Like, you don't really see anything in Orlando at this point, of like, guys being unhappy, not quite yet. I guess we'll give it a second. But, I guess you could see Mosley being a good maybe personality manager as well too. But, I mean, it is what it is. You just look at the numbers. The offenses have not been there. They have not been there. Again, is that coaching? Is that just the players themselves? I know, obviously coaches can get blamed for some of that stuff at times unfairly. But, and again, you have situations where, like, Franz and Paolo, maybe not the best three-point shooters. So you have your two best players. Is the spacing always going to be there? Again, there are roster construction reasons. If it was, different, if the talent was, had different skills in different ways, maybe it would be able to, make Mosley's offense look better. I don't know. Hey, yo, we need Coach Nick from B-Ball Breakdown to call in and let us know. Like, are his schemes broken? Like, hey, yo, like, what's going on? Is it the players? Is it the schemes? But like tonight, Wendell Carter, I guess for the play-in game as well too, like Wendell Carter, I guess, has, been playing well as well. Do they need every other player on the team to get celebrity girlfriends? I don't know if that's the play or not. I mean, hey, yo, obviously, a strong relationship. Obviously we're just viewing it through the lens of of Wendell Carter and Angel Reese there, but it could be anything. Hey, we're shout out the Remington Sam. Do we have the pink hat on, chat? Or is that's just the Spurs Fiesta colors? But hey, yo, IT, we're getting. I don't even know where we're going. But Cade Cunningham, we're focused on the box score, 35 points for Cade. The 26. I mean, again, he has been killing it tonight, so you do have to give him his credit. And he was balling out in the playoffs last year. Harris, 1 for 7 in the 3-point box score tonight. I guess the team in general, 32% as a team. So not necessarily the craziest night. Again, fortunately, it is Orlando. And I thought that they were getting more free throws as well, too. So, 19 free throws for Orlando, 36 free throws for Detroit. So there have been, again, good things in the course of the game that have been happening here. The physicality has been real. There have been times where they have been getting out in transition and running, and it's been impressive. But yeah, Isaiah Stewart 0 for 2, 0 for 1 for 3. Javonte Green hasn't hit yet. Dennis Jenkins, I guess, if Dennis Jenkins is not hitting well from the field, then it is going to be a little bit of a struggle for this Pistons team to get going. So, and Asar as well too, been athletic, but he already got dunked on by Franz earlier. He got dunked on by Franz, so, he maybe even the Magic, like we're saying, are just overperforming a little bit of what their expectations are. But regardless, I guess we need a weird round 1 result, or just at least a weird game 1 result at this point. And hey, again, we got Spurs Blazers up next. We could get 2. I mean, we're not hoping for that, but we do have, I feel like we do need at least 1. I feel like there is going to be at least a moment of panic, or at least a moment of eyebrow raise. Something's going to be happening in these early playoff games. It's going to make us look at these teams. And again, the Pistons could very easily win this series. Oh, and Suggs just fouled out, a minute and a half left, in Detroit down by 11. So, does that open the door for a little bit of a flurry? I'm not sure. But, again, there is a little bit of at least a moment there for Detroit as well, too. And, we can see him closing the score even on the ESPN. But, again, everything in round 1 this far, I guess, and the Lakers, I guess, going over the Rockets, if we were just going to start with the Saturday games as well, too. That would probably have been, I guess, if we had to look at the lines, the other surprising result there, because all of the higher seeds won. And I guess I'm assuming Denver was favored at home against Minnesota. And Denver had won the regular season series as well, too. So I don't remember, the player, like Edwards had missed some time this year. Obviously he slacking, chat? The NBA thought so. But, again, I still think Denver probably would have been at least the favorite going into that game. So the Lakers was I guess, but that wasn't even the weird result. It was just the weird result because they were supposed to have Durant. And if Durant's not on the court, then, it's still better than, you would still assume if you went player for player with the Rockets and the Lakers, even again, you take Durant, but if you take Reeves and Luka off the lineup for the Lakers, like, you would still assume that the Rockets are the more talented team at this point. But I don't know, maybe it's closer than we were thinking. And Şengün was, he was fine, 6 for 19. Reed Shepherd 6 for 20 in this game. 7 for 9 from the free throw line for Şengün was keeping him in check a little bit offensively. And the 8 and the 6 is still going to be able for the rebounds and the assists. He's still going to be able to find other box score ways somehow. But it really did, kind of. Obviously, and, again, it's like, you needed proof that Kevin Durant was important for this Rockets team, but it really did, it's like, Kevin Durant, even still, is like he's not just a scorer on this team. And it's like, okay, is there a little bit of, the Rockets, and, they do have, for sure, the defensive talent and, obviously at times, great role players around him as well, too, or, talented role players, for sure. And I guess 20 seconds left. You got Wendell Carter dunking it down, chat. The Magic are taking the 11-point lead back, 112 to 101. Is that Dennis Jenkins missing one last shot? And it is a home game as well, too. So the Magic stealing the home court game, game 1. Is Dennis Jenkins does he play better on the road? Is he going to play better in Orlando? So there is, I guess, the early game 1 drama there for the Magic over Detroit. But yeah, again, I was like, Durant is still, and I know the All-NBA votes are probably, they are obviously already in, and it is a regular season award, but it's like, it does confirm, if he is a second team All-NBA guy, or that he should at least be, in that conversation with was he games played this year? And he was. We were checking minutes as well, too. Durant was one of the more, the Rockets starting lineup just in general was one of the more, heavily played minutes guys. And Jabari Smith in this game, 43 minutes. Amen Thompson in this game, 43 minutes as well, too. 12 rebounds for Jabari Smith, so he was competing there. But yeah, the Lakers were just a way better shot making team, even without Reeves, and 61% from the field is insane. So that is not gonna happen again. And even still, they were a little lower scoring, 107, like 10 for 19 from three is not super crazy, but again, they were just crazy efficient is all. But it's the 98 for the Rockets that is the concerning part as well. I guess Reed Shepherd could get going a little bit, but there is the playoff physicality aspect of it as well too. Smart, the one guy on the team, was kind of bringing the box score down. Literally everybody else. Kennard missed 4 shots. Ayton, was getting the easy looks, but still misses 2. Rui misses 4, and then LeBron was 9 for 15 as well, 8 rebounds and 13 assists, and was immediately cooking. Yeah, he had 8 assists in the first quarter. Just playmaking as well. There are 4 Bronny minutes. Bronny getting playoff minutes is validation, Chad. I don't know. Say what you want. Say what you want. They checked the man into a playoff game. And yes, we know. If Reeves and Doncic were out there, does that mean that Bronny maybe doesn't get as many minutes? But you know what? Maybe that means Jackson Hayes doesn't get as many minutes. I guess, everybody's minutes change. So, yes, you know what? Obviously that's 2 major players down, but he's right there, Chad. Look, he's 4 minutes in a playoff game, and they were scoring when he was in. They were +3 when he was in the game. 4 minutes, 2 fouls. So if he didn't pick up that second foul, it would have been able to get a couple more minutes. But again, like Connect, Connect doesn't even get in these games anymore, and Connect was a guy that was scoring. Is he hurt? I know we maybe have checked this before, but he's like with the way that they were, again, shooting 60% from offense, like you're not going to need to, get Dalton Connect in the game for more scoring as well too. But yeah, I guess he wasn't on the injury report. It just DMP'd coach's decision. But yeah, it looks like, again, we can just basically say that Bronny he's earning his minutes. He's earning his minutes. Shout out. It's a pro Bronny pod. It is what it is. So, we got to, I guess, defend our takes when the man is playing. But, I mean, I feel like JJ Redick wouldn't just play him for no reason, right? There's no way, chat. There's no way. JJ Redick is a legitimate basketball coach. He legitimately got the job as the Lakers head coach based on basketball merit alone. And I think obviously he would play the guys that deserve to play. So I think that's why Bronny's in the game. Hey, 4 minutes, 1 turnover. Hopefully he gets playoff minutes in game 2, Chad. Hey, it is what it is. But hey, 4 minutes is something. 4 minutes is something. Shout out. We you love to see it. You love to see it. And I guess if you gotta at least see what's gonna happen for Bronny playoff minutes, like the first game, and no Durant as well too, is gonna maybe opens up the likelihood that becomes not as crazy matchup. Right knee contusion. They said it happened, of course, in practice during the week, and I was like, yeah, was there like an end of the season injury that I was missing? That is like, okay, this is like legitimate that he, and like we were saying, he did play a lot of minutes, so hopefully that is not just the wear and tear of the season for him. Being a more advanced athlete. Hey, I don't know if there's a better way to say it, but as an advanced athlete, maybe a little bit of load management pause is not actually a bad idea. So, maybe hopefully Durant's not just like a little more, again, pause, fragile at the end of the season here. But it was strange. It was strange, and again, it is a 7-game series. Durant is more likely to return immediately than Durant and Luka. I think Luka's out for round 1, right? He's out till May. I think both of them are out till May. So, they won't be back till I guess it can't be conference well, it could be, because hopefully it is, because that means the Thunder are out, right? If it's Lakers, Spurs in the conference championship, what a gift. What a gift. But then a healthy Luka, fresh off not having to deal with the playoff turmoil, and then Reeves, I guess a fresh Austin Reeves, chat. Hey, that'd be terrifying. And LeBron just, I guess, and Luke Kennard as well too, because it's gonna have to be Luke Kennard and somebody else. And again, everybody did step up, but maybe we did underestimate, maybe just in general we do underestimate Rui. Is Rui Hachimura a fish? Is he a good candidate for we don't talk about Rui Hachimura enough? He might be a good candidate. I mean, he was 51-44 this year. In his career as well, too. Just taking a glance at his career numbers there. I mean, 7 years in the NBA, 405 games seems pretty legit. 49% from the field, 34% from three. So, again, maybe lower shot volume, 10 field goals in total a game. But still, big body athlete, hey, we're in draft mindset. We got the draft this week for the NBA. For the NFL this Thursday. Stay tuned to the channel. But, we got, of course, a guy that can defend a lot of different types of players on the basketball court and is just an efficient offensive player when you have him out there. Obviously, it's about as valuable of a fourth, fifth man in your starting lineup that you can get. And, when they traded for him, it was a little bit of that, if you could say respectfully, it was like, oh, is he going to be like that reclamation project type of guy where drafted highly in the draft, are the Wizards thinking that he's going to be, the second or third guy on the team scoring 21, 22 points a game? It's like, oh, are the Lakers bringing him in to try to save the franchise? And it he's been like a legitimate important part of this team and is like kind of been one of the more consistent, do you say one of the more consistent LeBron teammates he's had over the last 3 years, of course, the last 3 years, but do you want to just say in general that he's had? Rui helps any team that LeBron is on, and it probably plays in any lineup that LeBron is in his career. Like that Heatles lineup, I think that is, that's the one with, I think, the most names immediately, where you, of course, again, you have three spots taken up with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. But Shane Battier and Rui Hachimura, and then that does just automatically, I mean, you get maybe a little more Point Wade with the guard as well, too. Oh, chat, the Spurs are doing the intro video. That is the fun thing about NBC as well, too, is they do show the intros. Oh, chat, we might just have to listen for a second. This Spurs crowd is going to be insane. This is going to be nuts. This is crazy, chat. We're being censored. They can't silence us now, chat. They can't silence us now. They're just got the camera just holding on Wemby right now. It is what it is. But the Fiesta colorways for San Antonio, they've actually got, I think, shirts on the seats for the fans. Does San Antonio have playoff shirts for their fans? I think they do. Do the Blazers have jerseys? I think they're playing in their. Hey, yo, can they get some real jerseys over there? Are they in their practice pennies? I'm not sure what's going on, but first time in 7 years, and there's a difference between being back in the playoffs and being, having a legitimate chance. It is what it is. Oh, Chet! Hey, yo, Wemby, his first time in the playoffs. It is what it is. This is the start, hopefully, of, an amazing, the NBA career's already started. The highlights have been there. The impact, do you say the impact on the league has already been there? But, in just the immediate sense that he has, of course, been a multiplier on the court for the Spurs and, of course, helping them achieve this. But in generating, what do you say? I don't know, revenue for the league. But, generating just interest in, hey, chat, the crowd looks good. The crowd looks good. The shirt, this might be the best playoff shirt combo any team has ever rolled out there ever. I don't even know if this is hyperbole. The fan section's going crazy. Of course, they've implemented some of the new fan section stuff with the Jackals this year, and they have the whole chant now at the end of the game. Oh no, the Blazers chat. They don't know what they walked into. I mean, hopefully Denny Advia's not just like, the playoff Michael Myers this year, dropping 41 in a play-in game. That game, the box scores don't count. Denny Advia, never happened. These are the stats that you have to log right here. Can you hear the crowd in the back? It's like where they're live. It's like where they're live. Do we need to get this game on the speaker? Hey, yo, is it still turned on? It might be. Let's see if we can fire this up, chat. Okay, it's official. We're no longer journalists anymore. We have to be honest. It is what it is. if we try to front as journalists, you know, we're gonna make some mistakes. Hey yo, hey yo, it is what it is. So we're gonna be fans right now. Go Spurs, go Chet. The playoff, maybe second quarter. I don't know how long we have to be fans for. I guess, you know, the shorter the better. I mean, a good game would not be bad, of course, but with the energy that the crowd has, going back and watching, I was getting emotional watching old playoff highlights today, Chad, of the playoff run, the revenge title, Ginobili. Hey, yo, remember Ginobili, Chad? Not R.I.P., but, you know, shout out Ginobili. He has to be there. I mean, the big three, I feel, you know, the Spurs are one of those franchises. I feel like everybody that's ever played for San Antonio is like, at least, well, you know, everybody's always watching the games, but they're one of those franchises, like, they would just have everybody at the game. Front row. Of course, hey, I guess Wemby's got to win the opening tip-off. It is what it is. If you know, Klingon is an interesting matchup there as well, too. Like, this is going to be, you know, we would expect that right now the Spurs would be able to handle this series. You know, we just saw the Pistons as the younger team, and the Blazers do have their veterans. Oh, Wemby drive. See, Klingon with good defense right away. We're acting like it's not going to matter. Like, you know, how many good plays do the Blazers have to stack up before we're like, wait a second, what's going on here? Do we get, sorry, Rui Hachimura, you're having a great season. You know, shout out for the game you had. It is what it is here. We gotta we gotta now be journalists and go focus on Spurs Blazers. Okay, now we're not journalists. We're back. It's the game. So, but you know, this is gonna be an interesting game. Oh, chat, did Advia just go down when we were looking away? Hey yo, he was kind of signaling some kind of ankle roll. Oh, Wemby fell on top of him. Okay, it didn't look like there was any sort of tweak or anything like that. Looks like Advia maybe trying to get Wemby thrown out of the game or something. I don't know, trying to, you know, get some sort of crazy. But you have to get a veteran status to get like a foul there or something. I don't know. You're Chris Paul or something, maybe. You get the foul draw. Castle, the little crossover, the bank shot, chat. I mean, how many times have we said it? If we make the run this year, obviously, you know, Wemby's the franchise guy, but it's gonna be Castle. They're gonna need his scoring, but his whole game, but his scoring as well too is gonna be important to settle down some of these situations. Oh, chat, Advia's here to play. Advia's not messing around. Oh no, chat. Hey yo. Are the 7-seed Blazers just going to get carried by Denny Advia? How far does it go? Oh, is that his first shot of the game? He's 1 for 1. Is he 2 for 2? Oh, he's 1 for 2. Okay. But that was a pure 3, a confident 3. Klingon with the assist. Klingon's already, you know, running the offense out here, but he's getting the start now. You know, he's officially, of course, taken over. I mean, you know, they traded Ayton, so now, you know, the path is cleared for him. But you know, again, he was obviously with Castle as well too, a major part of that UConn team, but was there the year before Castle, so was in the back-to-back title runs. 25, 11, and 3 for Wemby this year. Hey yo, but again, the Blazers do have the pieces. I don't know, you know, what the Denny Advia era is going to be in Portland. But at least those two guys anyways. I know everywhere Advia, maybe he's just been in Portland and in Washington, right? Maybe did they trade him on draft night or something? But, you know, at Washington, and there we go, Klingon skying down the lane. His size as well, too, his physicality. You know, Wemby's going to have to step in front of him a couple times as well. Luke Cornett, we're going to have to be playing Luke Cornett in this series. Some Luke Cornett minutes. Hey, yo. I guess cancel the Magic City night for game 2. It is what it is. Castle, the step back 3. He's been patient with the offense so far, you know, in an extra patient way. But they've led to good looks. In that open 3, he switched it right there. So, you know, again, Castle showing up as well, too. I mean, hey, yo, chat, the Fiesta stuff is crazy right now. The court looks insane with the crowd. Like, this environment it's too much. This is literally the most perfect, I think, basketball environment I've ever imagined for the Spurs. Like, my whole life, it's like, I remember when we first discovered the Fiesta colorway, we were like, how is this not just the main color scheme for San Antonio the entire time? And I think this version of the jerseys is a really good execution of it. You know, keeps the color scheme like a simple part of the jersey, but still really able to stand out. And, like we're saying, this court with the fan sections, like everybody has, and it's cool, but everybody has gone the homogenous. Is that the right way to say it? The homogenous mono t-shirt culture, chat. Every playoff run that I can think of up until this point is mono t-shirt culture. And again, going back and watching some of those old highlights, and I know the Thunder played earlier as well too. It's the Western Conference team we're staring down right now. I guess maybe we got to stop staring at the Thunder and maybe look at the Blazers a little bit. Scoot driving. Oh, Chet. Hey, yo, I guess nice little pass to the corner. Whoa, is that Kamara? Oh, Chet. Way off. Way over the... I guess maybe the corner three. Not a shot. Fox a little pull. Oh, air ball for air ball. I think maybe the energy is, getting a little too hyped up at this point. But what are we saying? Either way, I guess, shout out to the designers for this San Antonio environment. And, we were just saying, like OKC, everybody just like decked out in like a blue t-shirt. It's cool. But, and again, the Fiesta, I guess Miami is the only other one that could really, I think, get as vibrant with it, with their Miami Vice colorways. They could do sort of the neon pink and the neon teal, and then even have, do you have like a white and a black t-shirt section as well too? Might even, if you really wanted to add the multiple colors. But, again, maybe everybody else could just go to like Golden State. I guess you could go like a white, blue, and gold if you're Golden State. Could be interesting, but it's not going to be. And the Blazers, I guess, red and black and white, something like that. So again, it is possible. I don't know if this, I guess it's not possible for the Blazers because they're not going to have t-shirts. Wah, wah. It is what it is. So are the Blazers motivated as a team? Are they, nobody believes in us, not even our own owner. Our own owner doesn't even believe that this is worth this. It's going to be 2 games, and it's not even worth the t-shirts. Scoot Henderson, a 3. Oh, chat, the feisty Blazers. I mean, this is, blocking in. I don't know. Are the Pistons, what's the talent discrepancy of Pistons to Magic compared to Spurs and Blazers? I mean, Cade versus Paolo. I mean, again, there is some evenness there, I think, when those guys are at their best. So Wemby attacking the matchup. There we go. Sees one finally drop in there. And him, attacking the players that he should attack successfully is going to be good as well, too. Because, again, like, we have to admit, like, Klingon is going to be, a bit of a feisty matchup for him. It is what it is. I don't think he has the post-up game to be able to go directly at him at this point. But you see him stepping out for 3, and I don't know what his 3-point percentage is on the year as well, too. But at least that confidence is something. And he does have, as you see, I mean, even at UConn, he had a pretty good-looking jumper. But it does seem like it, could really be something. 34%, like he'll be like a Brook Lopez for sure. Hey, yo, I don't know, is that a compliment? 7'2", 280? I feel like Brook Lopez is, but maybe more athletic. I guess we have to go back and watch prime Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez era Nets? Hey, yo. We'll have to go to our YouTube channel that we were showing you guys the other day and see. Shout out to Just a Black Guy on YouTube. That's the name of the channel. We didn't name it. That's what he named it. And it has a lot of NBA highlights. And, we love watching the NBA highlights that he has on there. But, yeah, Brook Lopez, 7'1", 282. So I guess shout out. They are similar. And that kind of shot blocking, sturdy center. But, again, Lopez, obviously at the peak of his powers, was a 20-point-a-game scorer. I mean, all the way from 2009 to 2016. I guess, basically his entire Nets run. But, I mean, from his second year on. And even his first year was a 50% guy. Just a little lower in volume. So he was 18 a game those 9 years in Brooklyn, 50% from the field. Like Klingon right now, again, 13% in Milwaukee, 48%, 35. Klingon is a little bit more in line with the Milwaukee Brook Lopez. But again, like Milwaukee Brook Lopez was on a title-winning Milwaukee team. Am I remembering correctly? Everybody on that Milwaukee roster? Yep, there he was. Okay, shout out. And was, being productive for him as well too. So yeah, 50% from the field, 33% if we take out his rookie year in Brooklyn, and then 19 and a half a game. So, bordering 20 points a game there. But that could be, if he does get that post-up type game, is this the next Shaq and Duncan matchup right here? Is this the Shaq to Wemby's Duncan? is Donovan Clingan? Who would have guessed? But I guess the UConn national champions could have been a good hint for that. National championships could have been a good hint for that as well too. A little Pat Ewing-esque for what he was having there. I don't know if that's, Pat Ewing might have been on a little bit of a different level in terms of the game-to-game dominance. We're not denying that. But still the shot blocking, defensive focus center that was championing the team to those constant sort of postseason runs was definitely a similar thing that they had going there. And, again, like Scoot playing confidently, like that is, and we've already seen Scoot play confidently against Wembanyama as well, too. I mean, that was literally how Scoot kind of got drafted based on that game. I mean, he did have really good other G League Ignite. He was balling out in the G League Ignite anyways, so he would have been fine. But I think Brandon Miller probably would have been, well, I guess Scoot went third anyway, right? Brandon Miller went second, Scoot went third. And then the Thompson twins went. But so I guess them going, I mean, if they had been in D1 as well, too, if they had been in the NCAA, then they obviously would have been probably picked, I guess, again, how much of the draft really would have changed. There was the order for those guys was kind of argued, and, I don't think it was majorly debated when those teams made the selection, who they were taking. But, either way, of course, like we're saying, we haven't quite seen Scoot as the consistent role player kind of guy that, Brandon Miller has become. Because even still, like, with the emergence of Knuppel this year, like, obviously the Hornets franchise sort of notoriety stuff was Knuppel and LaMelo. And I know that's unfair a little bit to Brandon Miller because he was having a great season there for sure and was very productive in their, play-in games as well too. But for Scoot, again, we just haven't quite seen him match the production. And even Asar would be probably a better example of maybe he's not going to be the dominant guy that, even, I guess, like Brandon Miller, but, would Sar offensively be the guy that, I guess Sar might honestly, was he a better basketball player than Brandon Miller? I don't know. That's a close one because, again, he's such an elite defender. So is Brandon Miller as good offensively as Asar is defensively? And then debating it the other way, it is pretty close. But he still has a little ways to go, to match that type of consistent production. There we go. Duncan and Robinson are at the game, sitting right next to each other. They're in the orange section of the T-shirts. So I guess they could have, really, gone anywhere, obviously. But I guess the Spurs bench is behind that colorway, so that makes sense there. You've got the Blazers bench behind the teal shirts right now, but we've got, and is Jeremy Grant in this series? He is off the bench. They just checked him in. Hey, yo, if they get Jeremy Grant in the game over Scoot, that, of course, does become a little bit of a different lineup as well, too. I guess, the feared Jeremy Grant. But I guess, if Scoot wins those minutes, that would be, like we're saying, an encouraging sign there. So Castle attacking, getting the and one. But, hey, yo, okay, I guess we got Blazers Spurs pulled up in 2 tabs. Hey, yo, this is about as biased as you can get right here. So let's go back to Lakers versus Rockets real quick and see what else we were missing there. But yeah, Durant, hey yo, quit ducking LeBron. And I don't know why Durant would be scared. Is Durant scared of LeBron without Steph? I don't know. I mean, I feel like Durant's been good against LeBron in every series that he's played in. Even going back to the OKC Miami series. Like, I know that was still, different because Durant at that point, now it's those guys are equal experience at this point. I know LeBron will always, have been in the league longer than Durant. Even if Durant, I guess LeBron would have to retire and then return to basketball for Durant to, actually have catched him. And then for those guys to be like equal in at least the amount of seasons that they played. And I guess Durant himself has missed years and obviously time. It'd take him a lot longer to catch up to the minutes. Oh, Wemby, the spin move, the drive and the dunk, chat. Hey, yo, he's cooking Advi in the switch right now. You love to see it. Robinson and Duncan are laughing. And they're both stars as well, too. Like, they're not jealous stars. Hey, yo. Like, I think they both like the fact that Wemby is like the next evolution of those guys as players. Like they're both greats. Like Duncan and again, Duncan has 5 titles. Like Wemby, how much work is Duncan's not worried about all-time status stuff over here. Like Wemby can be an alien. Wemby can throw down his cool dunks. Like Duncan, we know what Duncan does as an NBA player works. And I'm sure Duncan, chat Wemby for 3. This is crazy. I know Duncan, I'm sure, thinks that he could stop Wemby at the peak of his powers as well too. That's the thing. I mean, that's shout out to the old heads out there. But that's one of the reasons I think that the Spurs guys can like the younger stars. They're like, you know what? Back in my day, I would toast a guy like Wembanyama. And David Robinson and Tim Duncan, they would definitely hold up for sure as well too. Those are some all-time guys that we would want to see matched up there. But point being, there are stars that I think are, happy and wanting for like the other stars' success. Like, not just Wemby to get a title, but like if Wemby is, again, quote unquote, a better version of a player than them, they're not going to be jealous about that. And again, they're beloved by the city. Like, the fans love Wemby, but Tim Duncan's Tim Duncan. Like David Robinson's David Robinson. We're just excited about the team this year. And again, they're excited about the team this year because they're fans as well too. And that was something about going back and watching highlights, from even, like we got right now on the second TV, there's a classic NBA game on the NBA channel on Pluto right now. So we're like, queuing that up. It is what it is. But it's a John Wall, Bradley Beal game. I mean, a little bit of if we're talking about beloved guys to the fan bases, I know we always start with Bradley Beal and the Wizards is, the automatic number one go-to example there. But, I mean, even a guy like John Wall, who that Wizards team didn't even make a conference championship, but just the fact that I guess he wasn't on the Wizards his whole career, but, for a majority of his, best minutes, obviously, were on the Wizards there. But, like, guys just, there is something, obviously, to guys spending, hot take, guys spending their whole careers with a team, or majority of their careers with their team, their primes with the team. I mean, you don't want to necessarily, I guess, pause. I would say you don't want to bounce around too long. I guess do what you got to do in the league. Pause. But, again, if there is just something to that, that shared experience that you have in the NBA. There is something to building a connection with the fan base as a player, it turns out. And one of the go-to searches that I love for looking up highlights is not even, I guess we were just talking that we love searching up bag work recently. Pause for the NBA highlights. But, for another, we're talking about what searches we like. Bag work is one, and then crowd noise is the other. Like NBA crowd noise reaction. So, you're still getting the all-time highlights, but sometimes some of the all-time highlights can be on away courts as well too. Or, I don't know, COVID era highlights. There's a little bit of a weird stretch there. But, maybe the crowd reaction isn't always in direct correlation with the highlight. And there is something as well, too, to that environment. But you can even tell in the highlights when it's that extra special player making that play. And it's not just, this is an important moment in this game. This is, a player that we have, that's been beloved by this franchise that is delivering now in a way that is, even better than, or, extra than they've been, delivering in the past. And it's like, I know that being conditioned to a little bit as an NBA thing. Maybe that's what I was thinking. Like, I'm not necessarily like supportive of it. Like, I'm not out here being like, oh yes, guys need to be changing teams every 4 years. Like, this is a better version of the NBA. Like, there is funness in the randomness of it, and there is something nice as well too. Pauses like, okay, if this team teams up and they're super good, like they're not going to be together for a decade. Like, they're going to break up after 4 years. Like, you just have to be patient. Like, that was the problem when Durant went to the Warriors, was like, oh man, this team's going to be together for 15 years. And then it's like, nope, actually, Durant's not going to be anywhere for 15 years. That's just how it goes. But, again, I'm not necessarily saying that I'm anti it as well too, where it's like, okay, this is just ruining basketball. And this is a terrible thing that is happening, and guys should, we need to figure out prioritize guys. But, again, that actually all sounds pretty nice, but pause. But, again, there is maybe just something to the mindset of the player as well too, to that being a priority. I know that, it's like, what even is a priority anymore in the NBA? Who knows? Just the money itself? Like, it really is, financial. I guess maybe that's the bummer part of some of this stuff as well, too, is, hey, was it always the love of the game? I don't know. But, I mean, a Spurs fan, again, can be a little distorted like this because some of those guys were real love of the game guys there for a while, with Duncan and Parker and Ginobili. But even that Bulls run, Scottie Pippen's definitely making it known now. But it is what it is. Like, the man made sacrifices for that Bulls team and sacrificed money that he could have gotten elsewhere to stay on that run. You say help the Bulls be competitive? Yeah, he helped the Bulls be competitive. But, it cost him, he had to choose whether or not he wanted to be on this environment. And I guess that's the thing. It didn't cost him. It's just he chose what he wanted. Were you prioritizing the money in the paycheck? Or were you prioritizing this is the best basketball system in the 90s and maybe the best basketball duo that's ever played basketball together? Like, legitimately, and it is because of Scottie Pippen's versatility defensively as well, too, but there is not a combo there's not a basketball combo that you could not throw out there and that Jordan and Pippen could not go up against. Like, maybe Shaq, because, again, Shaq, just who can guard Shaq? Like, you need to actually be a little bit more on par with Shaq to be able to guard him. But I was thinking, and maybe this is going to be contradictory after I say this as well too, but watching some of these and listening to some of these, like, debate videos, I don't know is the channel Clash? I think the channel's called Clash, and I think they're, like, it's like a Clash times House of Highlights type situation or Bleacher Report or something like that. But either way, they do of course, one old head versus 20 Gen Z debates, but then they do, like, bracket style, who is the best duo in NBA history. And I was watching that one, and the first round, they had Jordan and Pippen versus Jokic and Murray. And the bracket was more based on the debater's ability than it was the actual duo itself, because, again, obviously, we kind of know what the best duos of all time. I mean, it would have been like probably Shaq and Kobe versus Jordan and Pippen at that point. And then again, Jordan and Kobe's pretty close. Shaq just individually in that matchup becomes a disadvantage. But I was just thinking about, like, man, I think Scottie Pippen could kind of guard Jokic. And again, maybe Jokic is just that Shaq element that I'm not giving him credit for there in the way he could physically impose his will on Scottie Pippen. Like, he could, I'm thinking of him, waiting, like, kind of standing there and Scottie Pippen, like, distracting him from getting a pass to Jamal Murray or something like that. But of course, Jokic could take him in the post and do a little spin move, and he can, he's been toasting Rudy Gobert. So if we're just talking about, Scottie Pippen's got the length to defend him. Like, again, that's, Jokic is a tough matchup there. But the point is, Scottie Pippen, I would trust him if he was out there defending Jokic. Like, we've also seen Caruso defend Jokic. So maybe anybody, but again, the point is Scottie Pippen can defend it. The point is he prioritized at that moment, and again, we respect him for it. I don't necessarily like the fact that he's looking back at it, being like, I missed out on the money. Again, you didn't miss out on the money. You got championships. You got championships. That was the choice. If you go for those other teams, you maybe don't win. And I know it's like, oh, well, does that mean that he doesn't win on his own? And MJ doesn't win with Pippen. We can have these arguments about systems and teammates all day. Every great team, has great teammates that win the title. And then you go, oh, Dirk won it once in 2011. It's like, yeah, we're talking about a dynasty, though, for Chicago. Like, could Jordan have eventually have had a Dirk 2011 season? Like, I'm sure any player in NBA history could have had, and, again, obviously with the way that player, I guess, maybe not, because Dirk did destroy, of course, a super team. I think any player could have eventually had that season. I mean, LeBron did have that season in 2016. Like, he did, of course, have the 2 Heat seasons where it was a little bit more like this team is top of the league, going through, smoking everybody, like the powerhouse team-up team. But 2016 was that team where it's like, and, again, the Warriors were not the everybody signs to this team super team. It was to their credit, a well-constructed super team. They built a super team. But it was a super team still on the list, even before Durant got there a little bit, with just that death lineup with Iggy and Draymond as the 2 other, not Draymond being a role guy there, but the other guys next to the Splash Bros anyways, and Clay and Steph. But, he had that season where he was able to just overcome all that stuff in 2016 and throw the team on his back and win it. And, again, I'm sure Jordan would have had that. But they were able to have the dynasty run because Pippen stayed and because I guess in some ways Jordan chose to stay as well, too. I mean, I'm sure it was easier for him to choose to stay. But, regardless, the choice was made there. The choice was made for the Spurs guys to be together. And, it's we don't think about that as like a choice, as a sacrifice, because all those guys still like each other. And it's like, yeah, it worked out. They love the championships. They love the run. They love the memories. And that's, that's why the Spurs are a great franchise. But, like Brady and Belichick. Like Brady and Belichick decided, Brady decided that he was going to prioritize being in it. Wemby just hit another 3 as well, too. He's 12 points in this first quarter, taking over everything. But, Brady decided that he was going to prioritize being with, at the time, we can't retroactively give Belichick the same mind that he has now. But, we have to, Brady in the moment was deciding that was what was important for him instead of, pursuing whatever maybe max contracts offers would have been out there or forcing the hand on the Patriots to be able to do that type of stuff. And it is funny now, even modern NFL, like compared to the NBA, we don't even know what the salary cap is in the NFL. So it's like, wait, why was Brady having to? Was he taking pay cuts because Robert Kraft didn't want to pay, or because again, if you take a pay cut in basketball, like I'm saying, there's a legitimate salary cap reason. It's like this is going to open up, this much space, and we're going to be able to make this move directly because of this financial. Like it seems like the NFL, of course, has like a fake salary cap, where it's like, well, at some point, if we're willing to spend the money and pay the taxes or whatever, we'll just be able to have the team. And it's like, was Brady just taking pay cuts because Robert Kraft didn't want to pay the taxes? So that becomes, I guess, maybe a little bit of a different situation there. But regardless, you're still prioritizing what you're prioritizing. And guess what? Brady, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. And he got a $300 million Fox deal to make up for all of it. So it doesn't even matter. He's getting paid more than Mahomes to broadcast. Advia again, chat. Somebody get this guy in foul trouble or something. Oh, there we go. Is that Fox or Keldon Johnson at the buzzer? Shout out. He had another little airball 3 as well, too. So we like to see the role guys kind of get comfortable as well. Because, again, Wemby had almost half the points in that first quarter. Not a bad thing by all means. I'm sure he's going to want to get comfortable. But, yeah, Advia 5 for 9, 12 points. Wemby 4 for 6, 12 points. We've got a classic on our hands, chat. Advia versus Wembanyama. Who would have thought? I would not have thought going into this playoffs that would have been the classic matchup. I would have thought Booker and Shea would have had a better battle. But Maxey and Tatum, I don't know. But Advia is becoming the guy. And again, it's the actual scoring as well, too. Like the isolation scoring. Like he can, but obviously, peel off a screen a little bit as well, too. And kind of be a motion in offense type of guy. So it is 8 points after the first. I know this type of pace here for San Antonio. That type of math does make me, that is good for San Antonio. That does mean it is probably going to be a successful day, at least if we keep that part up. Because, fortunately for us, Advia's not getting any help. It's a good thing Klingon is not that offensive player, right? 1 for 3. Nobody even really, equally as aggressive individually. Pause. Yeah, Grant 0 for 1. Robert Williams 1 for 2. Shaden Sharp 1 for 3. Who would have thought Denny Advia's this is the best carry job in the playoffs? Is Denny Advia on the Blazers? So they really are going to have to build around him, Chad. I mean, this is, could it, there is always that one guy in the playoffs as well, too. Shout out our guy, Bill Simmons. I don't know who there's that one guy he references that always had a major playoff run one year. And then was it the Sonics overpaid him or some team majorly overpaid him? And it's like, silly guy fell for the playoff run. How could you? But, is Denny Advia in that category? I don't know. But I don't know because he was an all-star as well, too. So he's not just the random guy having the playoff run. He's the all-star that's taken the step up in the playoffs, the kind of borderline third-team All-NBA player that's taken the step up in the playoffs. So there is a little bit more of a reasonable, again, like stair step there. But 14 million this year, 13 million next year, and 11 million next year. I mean, this is a title window. This is something that you really gotta make sure that you're maximizing what you can do as a team here. I don't know what they have picks. Holiday at 32. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. And Grant is not cheap as well, too. 32 million. But there's no way that contract's got to be over soon, Chad. Hey, yo. 34 and then a player option for 36? I don't know. With the way the league's looking, he could still opt out of that. Right? Maybe. Is Jeremy Grant going to get 37 million a year for 3 years for a team? What's that? 3 for 100 for Jeremy Grant? What did he had? 5 for 160. He could get 3 for 100 with the player option in that third year. He could get that. So that would give him a little bit more security. I could, he might opt out. They could get lucky after all. Who knows? And did they trade for Veit and bring him in as well too? I guess we haven't seen him check in the game. The Veit minutes could be a little scary. And again, it would obviously take those draft picks that you had. Some of the guys again, like Shaden Sharp and Scoot, as well as Klingon, to step up to the extra level. You get Dame Lillard back next year with Advia and Klingon and Henson. I guess we haven't seen Henson as well in a minute. Either Yang. Oh, Shaden Sharp is also a sneaky dunk on Wemby candidate. Shout out. We obviously love Shaden Sharp. That'd be a little tough for us to witness that. Hopefully we're able to get through this playoff series without that happening. I guess, again, anybody could catch him. Scoot can get up there. I guess Advium's... Oh! Wemby caught a body as we speak. Hey, yo. Was that Dylan Harper on the lob right away? Kamara, is that Wemby going to block? Oh, Kamara got that one up and in, chat. You got the non-Advia minutes for the Blazers. But then they go to, maybe a little bit more defensive identity. And we do also have to shout out Tiago Splitter as well, too, the Blazers head coach. Hey, yo, of course, taking over for Chauncey Billups is, something in the wake of at least the storylines that have been out there, in regards to, what he's been alleged gambling incidents. But also, of course, a major part of that Spurs championship team, that revenge title team. So, beloved franchise guy here in San. Speaking of Spurs legends at the game, we should have mentioned him first. Tiago Splitter literally has to be at the game. So I guess, unfortunately is in, enemy territory right now. It is what it is. But, well, I guess he would have to, I guess we could bring him, well, he's not going to go be the assistant. Oh, is Advia getting a three-pointer taken away? I think to re-rule it to a 2. They're not going to take the whole shot away, but I think his foot was on the line. They were showing that review from earlier, so they might be reducing the points on one of his earlier field goal attempts there. But, yeah, ayo. I guess, what were we saying about the Blazers? Like we were saying, this could be a good series to see which of those pieces are going to be the legit pieces. I mean, Kamara playoff minutes are going to be fun to see as well, too. Where is he at? Because he'll need a contract. And yeah, $2 million a year. He's been just kind of a nice, easy. Oh, he already got an extension. Here we go. 4 for 81. So you're going to want him to play up to that as well. 18, 19, 20, and 22. I mean, maybe Grant does get 30 million just because. Just Jeremy Grant. It's like, well, we have to pay him that much. That's just, I guess, where he's been operating at this point. It's that. I forget who I was listening to, but it's like that. Was it an actor? Somebody saying, oh, it was Vin Diesel. Not listening to Vin Diesel, but somebody talk about why Vin Diesel has a private jet. And he's like, well, if I have a private jet, then I have to demand private jet money from the studios. And it's like, well, I guess yes, because, you're not going to want to go bankrupt owning that private jet. But it's like, then if I move with the private jet, then the studios know they know what I'm worth. They know I'm worth private jet money. So it's like, this is Jeremy Grant, as long as he rolls around with $30 million contract, it's like Kirk Cousins. As long as Kirk Cousins just somehow keeps getting paid 20 million, he can just keep getting, or 40 million or whatever, he can keep getting paid 40 million. He can just keep going back to the teams and be like, no, this is what I'm worth. See, this is what I got paid. This is what I'm worth. Jeremy Grant's like, I'm a $30 million player. I got a private jet. I need $30 million from this next team. So, again, the NBA's salary cap issues may be something to keep in mind there. And he did just hit a corner three. But I guess Tiago Splinter, I was going to say he's going to get hired off somewhere, but he's probably just going to be the Blazers head coach. I don't know if Chauncey Billups will be back. Hey, yo. I mean, we would love to see Chauncey Billups back in the league. It did seem like he was definitely, you got to give Tiago Splinter some credit here, for sure. It's definitely a little bit Mazzulla and Udoka-esque. Hey, yo, I don't know if, Chauncey Billups, obviously different situation than Udoka there. It is what it is. But either way, kind of the next man up mentality from your assistant, and then he turns out to be kind of the better long-term option for randomly. And Udoka, obviously still a great coach. The Rockets are a 50-win team this year. Udoka had that Celtics team in the finals, but it does seem like they probably would not legitimately want Udoka, like, not that they wouldn't want Udoka back, but they're like legitimately are like, no, actually Mazzulla was just an upgrade in general. Like, that was just a good move to make as a franchise. So, again, obviously the circumstances, we're not, hey, yo, anytime Nia Long's involved, chat, we speak with the highest forms of respect. So, we don't want that situation, played out for everybody, though, again, I guess, depending on what she's saying now, but then again, but like we're saying, we speak with the highest forms of respect for the great Miss Nia Long. But either way, again, the way that the Blazers have stumbled into this head coach, like it seems like he might actually, Splinter could actually be a legitimate next hire for him. For that, I guess Luke Walton for Golden State, that would be, I guess, the worst case scenario would be. But Luke Walton didn't get hired off, of course, to coach the same Golden State team, and that was totally different. If Tiago Splitter had subbed in for Chauncey Billups, but the Blazers had Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Clay, and what's the modern day the lineup of that? I guess not the same Trae Young as the Steph Curry. That's the comparison, right? But best guards in the league. If it was Brunson and Cade and Edwards and Tatum, if Tatum was playing with Brunson, what would be the modern day version of that, chat? Hey, yo, if healthy Tatum was playing, if Tatum and Brown were playing with Brunson, because of the way Jaylen Brown's playing this year, of course he is definitely moved up into that top 5-ish, 7, top 5, but you could say it's top 7, top 8 player in the league for sure. And that, due to, varying circumstances, can get you into a first team All-NBA case if you're just a couple of spots away from even just that talent level in the league. Again, the circumstances of your season can sort of elevate you. And Jaylen Brown has had that elevated season. But then they would also have, like, the best defensive forward in the league. So Wemby is a different type of defensive unit than Draymond is. Hey, yo, shout out to Draymond. Draymond's one of the great defenders the league has ever seen. Draymond, no defender, of course, has ever deterred people from drives in the rim, at least in the modern era, the way that Wemby has. But a crazy sort of defensive, undersized defensive forward that, like, or not even I guess undersized again if we're having but I guess Brunson's not, again, Steph Curry in terms of direct skill comparison there, but could be arguably, that best point guard in the league. Cade, we mentioned earlier as well too, or Edwards. But if Tatum and Brown were playing with Brunson and Duren, something like that might be the Warriors from 2017. And again, that's not even it, because Brunson's still not even, like, Steph is a guy that took multiple teams to multiple finals on his own. So there's really nobody in the league that is compared to that team. It would honestly be like if Jokic and Giannis teamed up. Like, legitimately, it kind of would be. It would legitimately be like if Jokic and Murray are Steph and Clay. Clay's a pretty good, or Jamal Murray's a pretty good Klay Thompson comparison, I think, in this circumstance for sure. And it would be like Giannis joining that team. Aaron Gordon can definitely have super high valued minutes. I think there's obviously been times in his career. I mean, right now, is Aaron Gordon a better basketball player than Draymond? Is Aaron Gordon a better basketball player than Draymond was? I mean, just as a, we were mentioning the defense, the playmaking as well, too. And they did also have Iguodala still in that lineup. So Aaron Gordon could be the Iguodala, though. Like, legit could be the Iguodala. I guess Iguodala was still a little bit better than Gordon in his career before Golden State. Like, he was a legit number one guy as well, too. Like, legitimately 20 points a game in his career before that. And I was thinking about that also watching. Was this due to the Ron Harper comments? Do we have to address the Ron Harper comment? Or is it the LeBron comments about Ron Harper? Because now, of course, Ron Harper's family. Obviously Dylan Harper on the Spurs. So I bet if we just type in Ron Harper, LeBron is going to be the first person that pops up. Here, let's go to news and see what happens. Oh, I also did see a clip about him saying that he retired Dr. J. But then there was a clip of it, Dr. J saying, like, the play that Ron Harper was talking about was a play that was like, yeah, actually I was like, that was kind of a changing play. It was like maybe, oh yeah, LeBron said, Dylan's great, his daddy ain't hurt. But, again, saying that Ron Harper, not that great of a player. But, if you were there, you were there. Obviously, LeBron, it's that competitive nature. LeBron can kind of say that about anybody because LeBron is the greatest player of all time. So you're like, or I guess, obviously in that case is what we're saying. I'm not making a definitive LeBron versus MJ statement. I'm just saying that LeBron is looking down at the rest of the league from that perch. But, everybody from that viewpoint ain't that to LeBron for sure. But, again, Ron Harper definitely, we all know Ron Harper was a great player, right? We all know that. That's just common knowledge. But even if it isn't, I think that is the word is being spread around. And it does also help anyways as well, too. I mean, Del Curry, his career, Del Curry got his number retired in Charlotte, I think, because of how good Steph Curry is. Del Curry is a great Charlotte Hornet for his tenure there, make no mistake. Beloved guy, and with all due respect to the Charlotte Hornets franchise, not a lot of other great stars outside of, again, Del Curry being like a really productive sixth man for the team for, I guess a great career. Did he play for anybody else, or was he a one team guy? I guess he did have a Utah, Cleveland run early, and then Milwaukee, Toronto later on. So, stacked up a couple teams, but a decade in Charlotte. So again, that type of run. And honestly, again, you're 15, 16 points a game. You get a 16 point a game. I take it back, Chad. I take it back. The man earned it. It is what it is. But then also Steph Curry's his kid. But again, like Archie Manning, I don't think got his number retired in New Orleans. I don't think they were looking back at the Archie Manning years being like, oh, Peyton Manning and Eli, they're pretty good. Get Archie's number up there. It is what it is. But I guess we can look at his Charlotte numbers right here. 14 points a game. 14 points a game in 10 years, though, is getting pretty close to, again, for a franchise that has no championship success. And now that they're good, maybe it's like, do we need to start establishing some legends? Del Curry has been basically, right up there with franchise legends for him. Obviously like Alonzo Mourning. And now just the LaMelo Ball jersey as well, too, is up there as well. Muggsy Bogues. It really is that, though. And then Kemba Walker. It is weird. Not weird, but that Bobcats era versus Hornets era. Again, Walker, totally a legend in that time. I guess who has the Bobcats history? Is it Charlotte or is it New Orleans? Maybe we have to double check that there. But either way, shout out to Del Curry for sure. But we were saying that, again, for Ron Harper, he is maybe going to get that extra sort of resurgence in popularity just because as Dylan Harper and as his other, as Ron Harper Jr. as well too. Ron Harper Jr. has played big minutes for the Celtics down the stretch. I'm sure he'll continue to be an important playoff player for there. I guess I watched a little bit of the first half of that game today, and then second half, fortunately, it was like, okay, this is a grocery shopping game right here. And then Phoenix OKC as well too. We were like, okay, now we can meal prep. We're still doing okay here. So I don't know exactly how many minutes Ron Harper played. 4 minutes? Look at that. Bronny got as many minutes as Ron Harper. Now, Ron Harper Jr. did score 5 points, 2 for 2 from the field. Do we have to go back? No, we're pro Bronny. We're not going to go back and look at a stat sheet. Hey, yo. It is what it is. Cornette in the game, and he's dunking it down. Hey, yo. You love to see it. The lob to Fox. The Spurs still up by 11. Not the 20-point, 30-point thrashing that OKC gave Phoenix. I feel like as, again, Spurs fans, we're definitely going to be comparing every individual result to that. But Denny Advia is better than anybody on Phoenix. So that'll be our immediate excuse for round 1. De'Aaron Fox 3. Money! Money! 48, chat. Now the score is starting to open up a little bit. There we go. Oh, we got I mean, a lot of guys in some pink hats out there because of the pink section. So, the Spurs, I guess, hey, yo, we're going to have to get we do have, surprisingly, a lot of teal hats in the orange section. I don't know if there's a little bit of a mix up there, at least on this orange section closest to the camera here in just the normal game view. There is a smattering of teal hats. So I'm not, the Spurs franchise, I think, has done enough. I'm not saying provide hats but if anybody ever provided playoff hats, I might be at the game. Hey, yo. If they want to get the REMINGTOM, if they want to get, 130 more nosebleed ticket dollars out of us, then make no mistake, provide a playoff hat. Because I guess, the whole San Antonio economy is going to be boosted. I'm a plane I'm probably driving. It is just going to drive overnight to the Spurs playoff game, boost the economy for a couple of San Antonio McDonald's. No, we'll get a couple of local places for sure. And then, boost the economy by buying a ticket and getting that playoff hat and then driving back will be the move. But hey, Drew Holiday with the tough bucket as well, too. So, can't quit fighting. 5 minutes left in the second quarter. Either way, though, what were we saying about Ron Harper? And I guess to connect it to the Spurs, what I was thinking about watching highlights, because, hey, yo, I guess we're all over the place here with what we've been watching. It is what it is. But we'll bring it around. Back to that channel, Just a Black Guy on YouTube. Shout out, he named it. But he has the Tim Duncan era Spurs playlist on there. And see, this connects back to one of the Gen Z videos that we watch, one of those Clash NBA videos that we watch. They were talking bad about Tim Duncan. And we were like, well, now I guess I'm just going to, I'm a Spurs fan anyways, but I'm going to commit. We're watching every Tim Duncan game that we can find. And, we'll just have to make sure to be able to be one of those guys that can defend the name of Tim Duncan at the drop of a hat. It is what it is. Speaking at the drop of a playoff hat, we'll be able to defend our guy Tim Duncan. But we were the playlist for the Spurs era, Tim Duncan era playlist starts with a Bulls game, a Tim Duncan versus the Bulls game versus MJ. So it's like 97. I guess we could probably look that up, but it's like could be like game. I guess it's gonna be on Ron Harper's page here because we're talking about him here. Was it 97, 98 that this game took place? This might have been the first game that the Spurs. No, yeah, game number 3. So an 87-83 double overtime dramatic battle. Ron Harper himself, not the finest game of his career. It is what it is. But Duncan, I say he had 19. He was pretty good in this game. Robinson 8 for 20, 21 from the free, 21 points overall, and was just absolutely cut up and just jacked in this game. Like, it's just about as muscular as a player. Just, hey, yo, like, throw a cape on him. It is what it is. Like, if we need to, we were talking about our sports Avengers. Like, David Robinson is in the sports Avengers in the 97 season. It is what it is. Shout out. But Michael Jordan as well, too, in this game was obviously balling out, 29 points. But just having Ron Harper out there and, watching it because, of course, of the comments that were made recently, focusing on him a little bit. And, because, again, of his kid, we've been keeping an eye on his player page. We've been thinking about, I guess, more of his legacy as a player than maybe just your average basketball fan. I don't know. But the point that we're trying to make is, again, Ron Harper was really good. In fact, again, Ron Harper himself was a 20-point-a-game scorer who could legitimately be like, do you say? I guess I can't speak for, it is what it is. But, be legitimately like a number 2 option on a really, really good team. Like, I don't know, again, the order of offense on some of those Cleveland teams. But I do really like these Cleveland teams as well, too. These were just a really, really talented lineups. And they were together for a short amount of time. Doherty got injured. They never really got to, fully, have the era as a team. And who knows if they would have ever been a team where, again, is Ron Harper that guy that throws his team on the back and wins the title? And I guess with Doherty getting hurt later on as well, too. That wouldn't have helped. But, with Elo and Mark Price as well, too, that's just really talented. But again, Doherty and I was looking at Brad, just thinking of Brad Doherty. But Doherty and Harper is one of the underrated combos in NBA history. Shout out. And they bring in, when's Larry Nance on this team as well, too? You get Larry Nance in there in the lineup. Oh, yeah, maybe he was on the team before and we just missed him. So there's a lot of pros, a lot of talent. This team, of course, can hold up. And you take MJ to 5. Nothing to be ashamed about there. Lose on, some game-winning jumpers, and what do? It is what it is. But the point is, Ron Harper was, a legitimate guy on this team. I guess, in order of points per game, Mark Price and Larry Nance were both at 16, and then Doherty was stepping up as well, too. You see Harper at 12 shots again. Harper's field goal attempts, though, it was just the efficiency of Nance and Price that was kind of the extra bump there, but it was all basically even. So, again, there was an equal hierarchy there between the team. That's one of the reasons that it is. Oh, and our guy Del Curry is on this team. Ayo, shout out. So just why this team continues to get, more fun as well, too, because this is one of the non-Del Curry Hornets lineups. But, with like we're saying, a legitimate option for one of these teams. And then when he goes to Chicago is, the third or fourth, fifth guy in that roster, in that lineup, where it's him and Pippen and Rodman next to Jordan, and then is it Kukoc and Longley on those teams as well, too? I don't, exactly remember the split between the two eras all the time. Because, he was there for the second half of the three-peat, gets to Chicago in 94, 95. But if it would have been him and Pippen, and I guess do they bring him in is he the Jordan replacement in Chicago? 20 a game and then drops off to 6. So, that's a little bit of a bummer, but that's 6 field goal attempts a game as well, too. Oh, that's when he goes to from the Clippers to the Bulls. I guess not from the Cavs to the Bulls. Either way, we'll go through the Ron Harper era highlights, and then, we'll be all caught up on the exact dynamics of what is going on there. But I was thinking about that with San Antonio as well, where you have De'Aaron Fox, like we've said before, who is a 26 point a game scorer in his own right and can take a team to 45 wins and they can be in the playoffs. It's like, a legitimate number 1 guy in his career. And he might be the third guy on this San Antonio team. He had 26.6 points a game in 23-24 and was 11th in MVP voting, third team All-NBA in the season before that, 22-23, 25 points a game. So, 25, 23, 25, 26 before getting traded to San Antonio. So, it's like, he's going to put up his numbers by himself, but his team is also going to be, really successful because of it. So to even just be a championship team, it was really making me think about just the talent of all these championship teams. I know it's just obvious to sit back and be like, yes, they were super, super talented. But the degree to which even their third and fourth best players are talented as well, too, is super impressive as well. And when you get to actually assemble it in that type of way, you kind of get to see that impact. Again, a team like the Spurs don't necessarily have that because we never got to see Ginobili in the NBA with his own team. Apparently the '04 Olympics doesn't really count in that, where it's like, Ginobili wouldn't have done it by himself, but he schooled Team USA in 2004. So, apparently Ginobili couldn't have won like 47 to 54 games in the playoffs as like a best player, or in the regular season as a best player. We're just counting that out. Tony Parker couldn't have led 54 win teams in the regular season without the rest of the guys. It just would have been impossible at some point. But, they needed the system to get to that next level, like we're saying, and be that consistent championship dynasty and all those pieces together. But those guys were, originally a part of the team and only there. The Warriors guys, for the most part, we only saw until they brought in Durant and Iguodala a little bit as well too. But again, Iguodala, like legitimately the fourth guy on that team in a different part of his career, but still at one point had been that type of guy. And, makes me think as well too, like we said before, about some of these guys who are kind of in that role. Like, is Advia going to be that guy at some point in his career where we see him now balling out in the playoffs like this? But not to say that he has to, go be the fourth guy in a playoff team. But if he ends up, next to Anthony Edwards or something, or like, what if he goes to Denver? And it's like, if you have Advia as your third guy, Advia is a guy that, like, we're just going to be an all-star. He can put up 25 a game consistently throughout the course of the season in his own right. And I'm sure Jokic would love to score, 16 points a game in a season just to screw with people and just mess with people. And, Advia's out there balling and scoring 25 as well. I mean, he has 17 tonight. But, again, maybe him in a little bit more of a secondary role, again, just ups those chances. Obviously, the consolidation of talent for sure. I don't even know if that's a phrase, but we're making it up. And I don't even know if that's the proper way to use it there. But because that would be, you're not consolidating talent, you're bringing in more talent. Consolidating your talent would be like we're trading it all for one better player. But, either way, we're making up phrases. If they apply, we'll use them. It is what it is. Oh, Wemby, the tough fading corner three. If he's making that, he's just in his bag tonight. He's just feeling it. There's nothing you can do. He's hit some of these perimeter shots that, are even a little bit different from what he's been doing in the regular season. Like, he is, I think, just feeding off of the energy of this game, because these aren't even good looks at the time. He's going to take a bad three here. It is what it is, but it might go in. It might go in if, ends up being a bad pass to Castle. I was going to say, if he gives it up, that really speaks to him as a player. Pause. And he did. And Castle, offensive foul? Hey, yo. Oh, Holiday, unfortunately, is scooting back on the court right now, holding down his knee. Did they collide? They might have hit shins or something like that. Yeah, it looks like he just needs a second to limp it off. Hey, yo, whoa. That, of course, that'll take a second. You gotta, that'll make it collect yourself for sure. You gotta, you collide shins or something like that. Hey, yo, it is what it is. But I don't know how is that a foul on Castle if you knee somebody in the knee? Is that enough contact for an offensive foul though? Especially if you're fighting, like shoulder fighting, elbow fighting, arm fighting as well too. If there's that offensive, if there's just that kind of battling contact that you have when you're driving to the basket, like, I don't know if you run into your knee. Is that just play on there? I don't know. So, hey, yo, the Blazers, are they getting fortunate? But I guess you got to respect the old man Holiday, right? He gets an offensive foul there, call on the youngster still, if it's a tie. And I guess I hadn't really thought about Castle in a Drew Holiday type of mold, but hey, yo, I mean, you can go back and check the tapes from the Giannis run. Hey, the Giannis era in Milwaukee, we're already calling it over. It is what it is. I mean, I think he's calling it over, which is why we're calling it over. But either way, we love Drew Holiday. Shout out. Speaking of underrated duos, obviously Giannis and Drew Holiday. I don't know if they're underrated, but definitely I think underrated on the greatness scale as well too. Like, you wouldn't compare Holiday and Murray in the Jokic-Giannis if you were doing like a Jokic-Murray-Giannis-Holiday debate. But I think that could be, with Holiday at the peak of his powers defensively, that could be basically an even matchup in some ways. But, for that type of impact, I think Castle, could be easily that type, easily, but that type of two-way player with that type of calming presence as well too. And even a little bit more of an offensive game just in terms of, what it would look like in the box score. Because, again, Holiday could be a big shot maker if you needed him to, but 16 a game for his career. Yeah, he only had the one season where he did actually get to 20, and then he had a 19, a 19.1, a 19.3. Hey, yo. He's like the Mike Conley of making it to 20 points a game. Mike Conley almost makes the All-Star team. Drew Holiday, he almost gets to 20 points a game. It is what it is. But he was, 17 a game in New Orleans, 7 years in New Orleans, 18 a game in 3 years in Milwaukee. So that's 10 years. What do we got? A decade for his last year in Philly and then his New Orleans to Milwaukee run. And then obviously important in Boston as well too. Just a little bit different numbers. And he is still 16 a game this year. Like he can still put up points. Like it's just, again, is Holiday going to be your main scorer here? But I think Castle could probably get to more of the 23, 24 point a game range if he was really going for it. But 18 a game for Holiday, 46% from the field, 36% from three. And then, of course, the defensive impact, point of attack defense that he would provide on top of that was, really, really special at the time for perimeter ball handlers, when it was at its best. So Castle right now, 47% this year, 32% from three, 16%. So, 60% or 16 points a game. Obviously closer to where Holiday's at now. But if he does get that 3-point percentage up, say in the playoffs to 37, 38%, then he does, kind of become a 20-point a game scorer. Chat, the Wemby wasn't even driving on that dribble move right there. He was literally just spinning around. He was spinning around like a dog chasing his own. He's just like out of control with happiness to be in the playoffs at this point. He just spun around a couple times and just took a jumper just because he's 7.5 feet. So he's like, okay, it doesn't even matter if I get open on this dribble because I can still get an open look because I'm 7.5 feet tall. And then Advia, the crisp little step back, but fortunately for Spurs fans, it misses. Okay, 10-point lead going into halftime. I think, the Blazers, Advia was obviously cooking. He's 7 for 13, 19 points. Hey, yo. We've got Robert Williams also looks like he showed up to play. But Wemby is balling out. Castle looks like he is doing okay as well, too. The Cornet minutes have been productive. So, definitely a win in the first half for sure. Feeling good. But, we'll be back to talk about more NBA playoffs, of course, and keep up with the second half here for a little bit. Right after this, don't go anywhere, chat. NBA playoff reactions still to come. Pause. All right, chat, here we are, and before, of course, we get back to the second half of the game, and as we continue to look at the rest of the Game 1 action, I mean, we did say earlier that, we are going to be viewing things looking competitively at OKC, even if that is too far ahead of ourselves in terms of matchup standpoint. They are the defending champions. So as the standard bearer in at least the Western Conference, because, I mean, on this pod, we're going to give Tatum and Brown their legacy respect as well, too. And, I mean, it's just, like, again, speaking of guys that have actually, I mean, do we even mention the the fact that they've been with the one team at this point? We don't want to jinx it. But, hey, yo. And they are a duo as well. Have they gone the other way? Hey, yo, pause at this point to where now it is to that point where we don't want to see him break up at all. Jalen had a season where he could actually have the team to himself. He was awesome. So it's not like, is it with almost like Jalen? It's like, no more. Like, hey, yo. Like, he had an amazing, he was first team All-NBA that one year where he had the team to himself. Like, it's like, and now, he doesn't have the potential. Not that Jalen Brown definitely would not have had, not to speak, besmirch Scottie Pippen. We were defending him earlier. But, he definitely would not have had a moment of that type of chaos, I would assume, in the playoffs. But, you start stacking seasons as the number one guy on top of each other as a league guy. And there might be some outcomes that maybe are not as favorable as other ones. So, again, it's like Jalen Brown has this amazing regular season that people now get to remember where he was the lead guy. Like, did Bird ever miss like 70 games and McHale was just the best player in the league? I guess McHale had seasons where he was... Did McHale ever make first team All-NBA? Like, I don't want to ask it like that just because, again, I'm thinking opportunity. He definitely was on All-NBA. But, I don't know, was he ever... Okay, he was, yes, in 86-87. He was fourth in MVP voting and first team All-NBA. Was that the only time, though? He was All-NBA? I guess so. I would have assumed he made it more often. So he wasn't, I guess, enough to maybe, consistently get into the second and third teams. Was that like minutes played or just, how crazy the league was at that point as well, too? 80s basketball. If McHale's not getting on the All-NBA teams, then you know that obviously it's talented. But Bird and McHale were third and fourth. So a little bit of a, Durant and Curry situation there. Wilkins at 5. Barkley 6, Hakeem 7, Isaiah. Fat Lever, number 9. You'll love to see it. And then Moses Malone down there at number 10. 86, 87 starting to go a little bit of a different direction there. But where McHale 13th the year before, where was he at in All-NBA voting? The year before. Oh, they only had 2 teams. When did they introduce the third team? Let's see here. I thought that they had that in the 80s, but maybe it was just at the end of the 80s here. 86, 80, 87, 88. No, maybe mid-90s was the third team. Let's see if we can track this down. Okay, here we go. 88, 89. It was the 80s. Barely. There was 2 seasons, a year and a half of it being in the 80s. And that year, Kevin McHale was, would have needed a fourth team, maybe even a fifth team to get on it. Maybe started to move. But he would have, I guess, maybe have made a couple other third teams if that would have been a possibility at that point in his career. So, that might not be a totally fair way to look at it. But I guess, did it not mention his 13th in MVP votings that other year as well, too? Maybe I just didn't see that. But he would have been, where was he at this year? Oh, no, this was his first team year with Hakeem in the first team as the center. And then Bird, I guess, obviously being fourth in MVP voting, was the forward. Wilkins was the other forward. Barkley was the forward. I guess you got Kiki. Oh, Malone in the league at that time as well, too. Malone is going to be eating up some of those, all NBA spots. And Worthy as well. I'm just trying to think, McHale still would have been, a top 4 or 5 forward in the league, I'm assuming. So, he could have been in that second team All-NBA consideration anyways. But I guess I don't know why we're Jaylen Brown. We're trying to track down if Mikhail had that 1 year, is what we're saying. But either way, I guess shout out. But 86, 87. That does make me think. We were talking about the Thunder originally, and what we were gonna say is viewing this first half competitively through the lens of competing against the Thunder. Again, the Thunder being the standard bearer. We're going to say the Thunder being the standard bearer as the defending champions, not viewing it as the lens of the potential Western Conference matchup. But regardless, the intensity that the Thunder did play with was pretty, insane. Obviously, they won by 30 points, held the Phoenix Suns to 84. But was that reminder? If we're San Antonio, of course, we have to hold on to what happened in the regular season. Those results in terms of the confidence that we have, going in. Is again, there is like proof of concept that we can be a good matchup for this Thunder team, and we can be competitive against them. And maybe this Phoenix team as well, especially down Mark Williams, the center, if they don't have the rebounding, the interior defense as well. Mark Williams. But shout out, is obviously a very, very quality player, is just going to be at even more of a disadvantage there. But they showed a stat that was the Thunder being the first team to win the opening playoff game 2 years in a row. The first team since, I think, the 86-87 Lakers, if I'm getting the years correct there. But it definitely was a Lakers team. It may have been 85-86, but I want to say 86-87. So we're obviously talking Magic versus Magic and Kareem. And, in this era that we're talking about Bird versus McHale. But that would have been the second year. So I guess they won the back-to-back titles in 86-87 and then 87 and 88. It looks like they lost in the conference finals the year before, 85-86. And 4 years of 60 wins in a row, 5 out of 6. Magic. I guess speaking of that, speaking of these debate videos that we've been watching, the Curry Magic debate is definitely close for sure. And I change my mind every day. That is as close of a debate, I think, as LeBron and Jordan in some ways. It really just depends on obviously what you value, but do you just hold newer eras in higher regard? But it's almost like the 9 and 12 years, the winning that Magic does is almost underrated from an all-time standpoint. Like, I get those teams were stacked, but this is crazy. We haven't even dug into the stats yet. This is surface level. And 62 and 20, 62 and 20, 65, 62. What do you dig into the whole league? You can get into the competitiveness and stuff like that. But just on the face value to be that dominant year over year, to make the finals 9 out of 12 years, even that stat alone is crazy. Curry 4 and 5, like changing the game is, is changing the game better than 9 out of 12? I don't know. It's really close. But, again, it's just a crazy level of consistency there. But I guess the year that they started the crazy playoff run didn't necessarily result in a finals win. Oh, was it against the Spurs? We can't even go back and look in this game. 85-86. Hopefully it wasn't against the Spurs. But, again, I guess if it was the second team, it was. So they won 88-135 in their first game against San Antonio that year. I guess a couple of people putting up 20 points in that game. I guess a balanced attack from this Lakers team. So they would eventually go on to lose, again, this individual year, they would go on to lose. Ludwig Göransson is on the roster. Oh, no, Putur Gudmundsson, I guess, was on this Lakers team. Mitch Kupchak in the lineup. Mike McGee, maybe related to JaVale McGee, I'm not sure. But Magic in this game was 13 and 18 assists. Byron Scott, 24 points. He was another baller as well, too. I don't know if he was he, are we doing a versus? Byron Scott versus Ron Harper versus, I guess he was a 20-point a game scorer in 87-88. He's getting that, didn't have his own team sort of doubt that we're having, that we're saying, you get drafted with these other stars, maybe you don't get that advantage. But I guess he could have probably have been, maybe even a 23-point a game scorer for a couple of years if he had been on like Dallas or something in the 80s or 90s. If Byron Scott is in the Mark McGuire role, but Mark McGuire was a baller as well too. I guess maybe 21 is kind of 21. I don't know if that is kind of the max there for Scott, but that would have been the 87-88 Lakers, I guess, the next season after, and they got the Spurs again. Hey, yo. So this has nothing to do with the Duncan versus Shaq argument. Yes, we're the Lakers. Nobody argues the Spurs over the Lakers for the 80s. I mean, we would love to, we'd obviously love to look back at Spurs 80s basketballs with some fondness. And there's still some great stars there as well, too. Gervin does move over to Chicago at some point. So I don't think 87, 80, I don't think he would have been in this series at this point. But Alvin Robertson, Walter Berry, Frank Brickowitz. Oh, chat. It's a good thing Frank Brickowitz is not playing in 2026. Hey, yo. Or I guess 2026, we're not really at the height of the Twitter era. I guess it's sort of a combo of all the social medias put together right now. But, I mean, peak Twitter era, Frank Brickowitz, the first night he goes 0 for 8 from the three-point line. Oh, chat. He's never going to play again. Frank Brickowitz, just bricks. I mean, it's literally in the name. He's never going to make a shot. I guess 10 points a game for his career, though. He's actually because 50%. He made over half. Shout out. They didn't have the three-point line back then. I guess they did, but it's not fair. Was 16 a game for San Antonio in 87-88. So he was a baller, chat. Frank Brickowitz. Make no mistake. You can't judge a book by its name. It is what it is. And Petar Gudmundsson as well, too. Only with 2 games. 6 minutes in total in the finals. So maybe, better at scoring a movie than he is, obviously, at being a role player. But that is impressive as well, too. So they did only win this game by, I guess, 12 points in round 1, so didn't go in the historic territory. But I guess the point is, any stats that had this OKC team compared to the 80s Lakers, it was like, oh no. That was a legitimate oh no type of situation. I know that, apparently comparing Shea to MJ is not enough for us to get worried going into a playoff run. We're still like, yeah, the Spurs, we got them. It is what it is. But that 80s Lakers stat did make me think that, just as a unit as well, too. It's they've got MJ on the 80s Lakers is essentially what this AO. It says, is it better than Golden State, in 2017, I guess was even debates that we were having last year. But I guess is that what this is? Is it MJ just on the 80s Lakers? I guess that would be, we're saying MJ instead of Magic, right? Because Jalen, with all due respect, like Jalen Williams is not Magic, and Chet's definitely not Kareem, I guess. So he's getting cooked there. It is what it is. I think Chet, he really loves the competition versus Wemby, but I think Wemby obviously, has been cooked. At least in the regular season, he cooked Chet this year. You can't take that away from him. Again, we'll see what happens even if they match up in the playoffs. But the 2026, 2025, 2026 regular season, it belonged to Wemby. That matchup, it is what it is. But either way, it would belong to Kareem as well, too, if they were playing there. But just in terms of stylistically, like, it would be the replacement of the sort of point guard first crazy assist man instead of, the score first playmaker that sets guys up. And I think MJ in a modern way would be obviously Shea-like, but, I think he would be more Shea-like, obviously, than Harden-esque, where it's that type of heliocentric nature, because you do have to give MJ his credit for being in the system that he was in, like the triangle. And I mean, the triangle was good for the era, but like we're seeing now, there is just more efficient ways to play basketball. So MJ just playing basketball at a more efficient time, he would have been awesome at it. So it would have been, I think, just stylistically the way MJ, or the way Ayo. See, now we're getting their names confused. Ayo. I mean, you look at the stats, would you blame us, though? But, the way that he balances the scoring and the playmaking, I think, again, would be more similar there compared to some of the other heliocentric guys. But, regardless, that was that type of stat that made me think that maybe they are on a different level. And the performance that they had today was like a real champion, level performance as well too, where, and again, San Antonio was close in the regular season. Last year, the teams that were close in the regular season were in the East. Boston was the team that was closest in terms of wins. I think that they were also at 62 wins last year, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe the Cavs were also at 64. So yeah, Thunder at 68. Ayo. But then the Rockets in the Western Conference, again, were at 52. So there was nobody. The only guy in the West that we thought that had a chance was Jokic, and Jokic took him to 7. Jokic almost did it. Pause. Like, Jokic almost. So, again, maybe I should be even more worried about Jokic before it's like, focus on the fact that Portland's only down 2 as well. You got to be worried about the team that's in front of you. But, again, OKC just was the perception of them was a massive favorite. There was, easy way to say it, there was no team on their level last year. And, again, it is what it is. San Antonio had a good regular season matchup against them, and the course of the regular season as well matched them in terms of production. So the perception is there is a team that is on their level. So again, am I sitting here trying to jinx it by saying that San Antonio is on OKC's level? And I would love to believe as a fan that we really are on their level as a basketball team. And I think with the talent that we do have, like, we are as talented as they are a basketball team, if that makes sense. Like, again, we still don't really know what the best version of Wemby and Castle and Harper are as players, but still, I mean, I would, like I've said before, I would take that core over the Thunder's core. And I would really probably also, even if you just take Shea and Wemby out of it, I think I might take Castle and Harper over Chet and Jalen Williams. I mean, the Castle-Jalen Williams debate is really, really close there. I mean, that, you could debate that however you want. And Chet's definitely a little more proven in the NBA at this point at Harper, but I don't know. I guess it's just maybe the mystery as well too. Did Chet's dad play for the Cavs in the 80s? Maybe that would have, if he was Chet Doherty, then would that change our minds? I'm not sure. But Champagny for 3, Chat. We need him to get going. There we go. Get a floor spacer out there. Put some distance between us and this team. I mean, we can get the 2s obviously with Wemby and Castle, but we are going to need some of the the NBA math. 43% from 3 tonight. How is Portland in this game? Hey, yo. This is like, is this series going to be a fight? I thought this was going to be a cakewalk, Chat. I mean, that's the exact reason why these types of, why a team is closer than you expect. Because you expect yourself to go out there and, for it to be easy. Pause. And then you're like, oh, actually, this is a pretty, competent NBA team that we're going up against. But, again, what were we saying for the Thunder? The point is, the performance that they had today was clearly like another level performance where I don't know if I can actually say that the Spurs are on the Thunder's level. If I have to put my NBA journalist hat back on, and if I'm being sobered up by the fact that the Spurs are down, they're up 7 right now to Portland, like there is, Cornette with the massive block on Klingon. Cornette! Shout out! Blocking it like Magic City Night in Atlanta! Hey, yo! I mean, if it's defense, Chat, we love it on the court, right? Hey, yo. It is what it is. But what are we saying here for the Thunder? Oh, Chat, I just turned off the TV. It is what it is. I don't know how I didn't get the other one from this angle, but, we'll just be happy that the Brian Scalabrine interview is still going up there. I don't know. The classic Wizards John Wall game that we had on ended, and now we're in some kind of basket cast. It's called basket cast. I guess we're signaling over to the other TV. We may have to switch channels because I did see that they're rerunning the 2022 NFL draft, so we may have to watch that. Let's see what we got here. What pick are they on, Chat? I guess we're going to be in the 20s at this point. But it looks like, we're on commercial break. We'll have to wait a second and get an update here. But again, the NFL draft is this week. So we got a, playoff mindset, but also NFL draft mindset as well too. We gotta be locked in. The Colts obviously looking to build around. Oh wait, that's right, Sauce Gardner. We're very excited about that as Colts fans. We love Sauce Gardner, and we can't wait to see what he provides to the team. Him and Daniel Jones as the foundation building forward for the next 3 years. This is going to be great. The Daniel Jones era. If our new favorite YouTube channel, it's just a black guy on YouTube. Again, that's his name. It's NBA Highlights. If he ever does an NFL version of the channel, the Daniel Jones era Colts highlights is going to be. I don't know if we're going to be going back to those quite a bit. But Vassell for 3 as well. His opportunity to, prove his production in the playoffs, playing off of Wemby and Castle. Again, do I throw out, I would, because of the hierarchy of the team, you throw out the term role guy. But I don't know if he would, view himself as a role guy as well, too. Still an important offensive bucket getter to the team. I think Vassell in some ways would probably, still think he's a better perimeter creator. He should be as well too. The best perimeter creator on the team. I guess, has it ever been fair for him fully, like the 3-point evaluation there? But he's now hit 2 in a row. So now if he gets that playoff heat check sort of label, he could earn that as well here with a couple of runs. But, again, with his creation from sort of the long 2 range as well too, his ability to just provide some spacing and create his own shot is important there. So, you love to see, and just for those guys being a part of the team in some of those years where, it was down years as well too, but they were talented and they were being, withheld from the team because of that. And it was like, okay, we can't have like Vassell out there as much. I mean, he was fighting through injuries and stuff. But you can't have Vassell out there as much because it's like, hey, we're trying to tank here, and Vassell is, too good. Oh, did we just tune in on the Colts pick? What are the odds, chat? What are the odds? Jelani Woods. Oh, hey, the memories. Jelani Woods. I mean, it's been great, but there's been some dynasty sleeper potential for Jelani Woods over the past, and he has, also. For the Colts, not necessarily maybe had the best quarterbacks up until Daniel Jones. And maybe we'll see if Daniel Jones is actually, hopefully as good as the 8 games that he had last year, or, kind of as good as the 8 games. Will Daniel Jones ever be as good as the 8 games that we had last year? That's the problem. But, again, is he going to be a consistent version of Daniel Jones? But even still, was he a consistent version of Daniel Jones in those 8 games, or was he just hitting big plays? I don't even know how to evaluate it. But Matt Ryan, the quarterback at this time. Hey, CBS's Matt Ryan. I guess now Atlanta Falcons GM Matt Ryan, or president of football operations. Is he running the NIL over there for the Falcons, or what's going on? I'm not sure. But I guess, shout out to the Thunder today for really dominating the Suns. And again, the Suns like this Blazers team. I mean, Booker, I know Advia cooked the Suns in the play-in game, like we were saying, but Booker is obviously that, is Booker the Advia type, or is Advia the Booker type? Hey, what are we saying there? But, that star player that, of course, can have a crazy performance. And they made, life really difficult for him in a way that, again, in watching this game, there is a defensive presence that San Antonio can have, but they are not necessarily making life as difficult for Advia in this game as the Suns were for Booker. And Booker even had a good game still as well, too. Again, some of his teammates not necessarily getting the same level of hope there. And, maybe you look at the team and you're like, okay, Dylan Brooks is our second creator. Like, maybe there is a lack of playoff shot creation throughout the rest of the team that, we did actually lack in the regular season, that we were able to make up for it with other things. And no Grayson Allen yet as well too. Whoa, disconnected. Are we back? Testing 1 2 3. Hello. Oh, 3 2 1. Okay, there we are. We're back. You really, of course, just have Gillespie off the bench, and Goodwin did go down in this game as well too with an injury, and they lost him. Iguodala only 3 shots. So yeah, Dylan Brooks 6 for 22. In this game, Booker 8 for 17. 22 shots from Brooks, and again, 30 points the fourth quarter, like halfway through. This game was, 60% not even a real game for most. I was gonna say for 60% of this game, this was half of it. Half of the game was 60% not a real game. Hey yo, I don't know what the math is there, but you can't even. I guess Jalen Green at 16 shots. Obviously, you can't be mad at Dylan Brooks for taking 22 shots. But the point is, you can't be mad at him for being a lead shot taker on the team, because who else is going to generate offense from this team? And again, you have obviously guys like maybe again Grayson Allen doesn't mean that much, but you can get away with it a little bit more in the regular season with running some cohesive sets and energy on defense, and get some again other lineups playing in the league where it's like, okay, obviously is Dylan Brooks the most talented player on the court tonight? Then maybe they're gonna win. But if he has to be again the second or third lead shot creation guy in a playoff game, and Jalen Green as well too was having good playing games, and again obviously the physicality for OKC is really able to slow him down a little bit. 6 for 16 in the game, 17 points. You'd be looking for him to be the second offensive creator as well too. But the other side of that, like I'm saying, is OKC can throw a lot of focus at those players. And you don't even, again, have to really throw energy at Dylan Brooks like that. Like offensively, if Dylan Brooks cooks you for one game, it is what it is. Let it go into the highlight reels as the Dylan Brooks game and then move on to the next one and go win the series. Like, it is what it is. I guess, having the Dylan Brooks game and then 2 Devin Booker games and then a Colin Gillespie, Jalen Green game. Like, there is a way that series play out that way. But again, for this one, if that were to happen, you just live to see another day. Like, if Advia just cooks the Spurs in game 3 when they're back in Portland, I guess it is what it is. Because the man cannot miss at this point. 9 is just because that the Thunder won by more, just that means that they're the better team. But I remember even looking at that game earlier today and looking at the line and being like, the Thunder are 17.5-point favorites. It's like, there's no way. I was like, this is the playoffs. Come on, these teams are good. This is the NBA playoffs we're talking about. There's no way another team should be favored by 17.5 points. It's like, I should probably bet the Suns. I should probably bet Devin Booker. He could lose this game by 12 and keep it kind of close throughout the game. But turns out I should have bet it the other way. I should have bet that they should have doubled the line. So that might be is that the move the next game? Hey, yo. I'm so excited about the money I'm going to earn. I can't even think about it. But is that the move for the next game? Just bet the alternate. Maybe the alternate spread is not even going to make money anymore. Maybe we'll have to wait till game 2 of round 1 or game 1 of round 2. But maybe now it's just bet double whatever the line is. But are they going to be is OKC going to be a 20-point favorite in game 2? Do we already have something potential here? Let's see. I guess I just went back to the game 1 box score. Ayo, not making any progress there. So actually, if we were to go to game 2, which is Wednesday, so Phoenix will have an extra day to prepare. Some extra time there. Nope, they're running it back at 17.5. Which I guess, it's okay. Is Phoenix going to lose 2 30-point games in a row? Do we do a 25-point spread? Do we do a 25-point spread in this game? Oh, Advia's grimacing again. He did have, I guess, Wemby fall on him earlier, so who fell on him this time? But Cornette again on the offensive glass. The Cornette minutes have been actual major minutes. I mean, and he was our one big signing for the year. We had the acquisitions through the draft, like we're saying with Dylan Harper, and then you're expecting your guys to take a step forward. But he was the big free agent signing to the team. What's the missing chess piece to the team? It's Luke Cornette, but it's the depth at center, to give yourself flexibility there when you have a star player. You don't want to have too much on his shoulders just in terms of, we don't even have another option as well, too. You want to be able to rest foul trouble, do whatever, pause there as you need to. But just his ability to be a versatile guy next to him as well, and then in those second unit minutes, actually excel and be productive in his own right. And, he is in that sort of weird sort of contract spot as well, too, where it's like, do we overpay? Not overpay. Do we invest a little bit more in some secondary production that we know is going to, live up to a certain line of production maybe more than it does the actual number value on the contract? Or do we take a swing on somebody, again, with maybe not quite the financial commitment? Not that you're going to burden your team too much with like a Luke Cornett style, contract. But again, it does become a one move scenario when you start to get into San Antonio's situation. Are we taking a couple of swings, or are we going to make a quote unquote safer play with Cornett? But there is also that upside that Cornett can, be a better version of the player as well too. And I don't know if all season he has been, a top 100 guy in the league, but I think he can get to that type of, and as Robert Williams just dunks on him, it is what it is. But you're moving around, you get in the, you get close to offensive players jumping around the basket. Hey, it's gonna happen sometime. Everybody gets highlighted. Speaking of the highlights we were watching, one of the highlight videos was a crossover compilation. This was actually the one that got us to start. I mean, YouTube, they know the order, chat. They even know how to order the algorithm. They know which one that will get us when we're not watching highlights, and then once we're watching highlights, they know how to keep us watching highlights. It is what it is. But it's like, okay, now we're watching NBA. Oh, now it's the perfect time to pivot over to some NFL. Here's some Mike Vick highlights. But one of the highlight reel that we started with was crossovers, but the next guy who gets crossed was the one who does the crossover. I think we just butchered the title. NBA, let me think. NBA crossovers, but whoever crossed does the next over. No, I don't think that's it either. But it was that type of chain reaction situation where, Castle crosses over Jeremy Grant, and then Jeremy Grant crosses over, or I guess Castle gets crossed over by Jamal Murray. Then Jamal Murray gets crossed over by James Harden. Then James Harden gets, crossed over by Kevin Durant, and then Kevin Durant gets crossed. Just that's the string, I guess, of highlights, how it's laid together. But, again, everybody gets highlighted. Everybody gets highlighted. It is what it is. So it's, Luke Cornett going to get dunked on to Luke Cornett dunking on somebody else. I'm sure Luke Cornett has dunked on somebody in the NBA. A 7-footer, he's just going to have a time where the angle is right and it's easier for him to get up. He doesn't necessarily have to elevate as much. He just can kind of sky in and dunk it. Again, if he can get a good look. And here we go. The third quarter winding down, 87-70. We're finally starting to, this is finally the OKC level score that we need to get to. I mean, I think it is good as a team to hold yourself, again, to the standards of these other teams. I know that you still need to win this, and the matchups are going to be different everywhere for sure. So, just because, again, the seeding is close one way, doesn't mean that it's not going to be a little bit more difficult for the Spurs to manage. But Wemby forcing the tough Drew Holiday 3 there, and it looks like the Spurs, you're going to get at least one more look here to end the third quarter. Is it going to be Fox with Thibault on him? Matisse Thibault, the defensive menace. Remember the original Wembanyama? Matisse Thibault's defense wrecking the league? But I guess just unfortunately, hopefully Wemby doesn't go the way of Matisse Thibault. Oh, Jeremy Grant getting on a highlight. Fortunately, Wemby didn't get there in time because he would not. I guess Wemby could, block whatever he wants maybe, but Wemby was a little too far behind that play. I think Jeremy Grant would have got him there. He was attacking the basket with some force. So here we go. What do we got? 15-point lead going into the fourth quarter. You love to see it. Still 17.5. Not quite OKC level, but I think we are covering our own spread as well too. 13.5. So there we go. Maybe we'll match in the next game if we can get there. But we'll take one more break, chat, and then we'll be back to wrap up the rest of the playoff reactions right after this. All right, chat, we're back, and we can confirm that the Spurs legends are in the building. Manu is there. George Gervin is there, the Iceman himself. Did Drake tell him to be there to promo the album? I think that's what it is. He said, we're gonna create a nuke-like explosion in Toronto, and then George Gervin's gonna be in a playoff game. And that'll be the rollout. So I think we can confirm, Fantano and the Rem and Sam pod can confirm that Iceman will be dropping this week. It is what it is. But either way, and they also, of course, awesome to see. But Greg Popovich just back out and about in general. You know, if we can see him in any way associated with Spurs basketball, I mean, we already said this was the perfect in basketball environment earlier. I guess I'm not going to lie. And, we did get a little caught up. That would be just with all due respect to Mitch Johnson, I absolutely love what Mitch Johnson has done for this team. I think that Mitch Johnson is the perfect guy in general to have taken over the reins from Greg Popovich. I know that, in the past, again, Udoka would have been one, and Will Hardy would have been another one in the past that we would have been like, okay, and Becky Hammon. I can't believe we didn't say Becky Hammon first. Becky Hammon would have been the first one. That's like, if we're gonna if anybody's gonna take the reins from Pop, seems like Becky Hammon would have, and Becky Hammon would have been the best option of those three. I think it would have been, if we were ranking, our preferred option, it would have been, again, of those three, it would have been Becky Hammon, Udoka, and then Will Hardy. Though maybe, Will Hardy is the second best coach there between two. We'll just have to see. Once Utah lets him coach games that he can win, then, we'll see how successful I guess he can actually be. But, and if we had to throw Mitch Johnson into the list, with all due respect to Mitch Johnson again, hey, yo, Becky Hammon would have been, I mean, you see it in the W. Like, it's not unfortunate that she came along when she did. Hey, we don't mean it by that. We just mean she came along a little too early before Pop was ready to retire. Hey, yo. If Becky Hammon had been on the Spurs, again, now, then she would probably be coaching the team. I guess, obviously, she likes being a part of the W as well, too. So you have to give, you can't take that away from her. Her love for the sport is, I'm sure, what has, I'm going to give the owner some credit and assume that they would hire her. I mean, I know they bring her in for interviews, but I'm assuming, they turn her down because, she's interviewed for New York. Like, yes, New York would be a good market team to work for. I don't know if, James Dolan would be, great to work for. And, just the tanking teams year to year as well, too. Washington, whatever. They say, oh, you got to take an NBA job. Do you? Do you, if you're coaching the Aces and you have the best player in arguably all of basketball in A'ja Wilson? Like, legitimately, you could argue A'ja Wilson or Jokic for the best player, or Wemby for the best player in basketball. Who is it between those three? I don't know. But, again, regardless, shout out Becky Hammon. We miss you. But, Mitch Johnson is great to take the reins for the Spurs as well, too. We love that he's the coach. But either way, if Pop had been able to coach a playoff run with this Wemby team and with Castle, I guess, did Pop get to coach Castle at all? I don't think he really got to coach Castle. I think he would have, the way that he was able to help the games of Parker. Parker specifically, Ginobili, getting to the NBA a little bit more of a veteran. Like, he got better in the NBA for sure as a player. I mean, as adjusting to the league, but helping Parker actually figure out the guard spot as well. Like, I think Pop was, and same with Duncan. Like, Duncan as well was, again, not a fully formed player. Pause when he entered the league, but he was still a little bit more veteran and a little bit more ready to step into a lineup and, handle himself. Parker was like a legitimate, like, one and done freshman international prospect. Like the type of guy we draft now, where you're just like, I don't even know if I would have liked the Tony Parker pick when it happened. I guess I get to have watched the YouTube highlights from back in the day, and maybe the 3-point line wouldn't have been as important, but it's like, okay, 18, 19-year-old French guard who can't really quite shoot, but he's kind of crafty on offense is like, okay, like, I guess you can do that in France. Can you do that or in Spain, wherever in Europe? Can you do that in the NBA? Does it translate? So, again, for the way Pop was able to help those guards game, I mean, he would help, Castle and Harper tremendously Hey, yo. And I'm sure he still is when he wanders around the practices and is hanging out there. But again, the fact that he is at the game as well too is at least a great bonus for this this environment here. And the lead has officially now gone to 20 as well too. I guess Advia just not taking 40 shots tonight. Ooh, Kamara with the nice three-pointer there. But I guess in terms of other round one games, Boston versus Philly, at least for today, do we mention quickly? I know we briefly mention Maxey earlier, and I know, and then Paul George played well today. Yeah, 4 for 8 from the field, 8 for 9 from the free throw line. But it's a lot on Maxey's shoulders, of course, offensively, especially no Embiid. Like, the again ability for these guys to generate offense. Like Oubre can do it. Like Paul George, at this point in his career, like sure, like he can generate shots, but efficiently in a playoff game at a high level, are they going to be able to keep up with Tatum and Brown? Probably not. But not quite. I guess for Maxey, to be fair, not quite. Again, maybe it's a little too soon to expect like 2001 Iverson for Maxey. I don't know if I'm sure Iverson had some early 8 for 20 games. That does seem like a pretty, with all due respect, Iverson type stat line there that he could have had in the playoffs. I guess I don't know much about Iverson playoffs pre 2001, so we can take a look here and see what we've got going on. I guess 8 games in 98, 99, 28 a game, 26 a game in 99, 2000 there, 41 and 38% as well too. And I mean, late 90s, early 2000s NBA, like make no mistake, guys were going to be shooting high 30% in some playoff games. Tracy McGrady is going to have some playoff series where he's like 38% from the field. It is what it is. The numbers are just going to look a little bit different. But, regardless, we can still see what happened here. In his first playoff game, he had 30 points, 12 for 29 at Orlando, and then 4 for 15. And I guess it's not Maxey's first playoff game, but 14 for 28, his first playoff game in Philly, 33 points, 37 35, 36. It just would, it would be fun to obviously see a good Maxey series as well too, where he can be efficient and have some good scoring performances, because he did jump up into that next tier of guy, I think, in the NBA this year. The Sixers fans as well too really embraced him as the franchise guy. Again, he was definitely setting up to be that perfect scoring backcourt complement guy to Embiid, assuming it's like, hey, Embiid's franchise continuing there for a while. But again, now that it seems like they've needed to find another guy to really be that top dog, and he has stepped up in the way that he has scoring points, like Philly is excited about him being the lead option there. And you have Edgecombe as a good sort of defensive, potentially backcourt mate, and then his complementary offensive skills do seem like he can play off of, Maxey pretty well going forward. But, again, to have that extra confidence in him as that franchise guy, that would be interesting. And maybe if, again, would Philly trade Maxey after the year that he's had, where Maxey, speaking of the All-NBAs, like Maxey's probably going to be second-team All-NBA this year. Is Philly going to give up on that after one season if he has a tough playoff series against Boston, who is, 2 years removed from winning a title? And if Tatum doesn't get, we've now fully, reworked the narrative. If Tatum doesn't get hurt next year, Boston just wins the title. It is what it is. That's just how the story goes. And there's no other way around it at this point. But, losing to them in the first round is, do you say no problem? Not no problem, because you hate Boston as well, too, if you're a Philly fan. But competitively, you understand where the teams are at, why that happened. But, again, would you, I guess not necessarily trade Maxey, but would Philly look at like a full-on reset from a contract standpoint and get everything going in a certain direction. I guess the problem, of course, would be you would also have to. It's not like that would be the one move that you would have to make. You would also have to trade Paul George. You would also have to trade Embiid, and those are really the only other two, but still two pretty massive moves at this point with the contract scenarios that they have. That seems, again, like unfortunately that's just going to have to be around for a second. But what do we got here for Embiid? 55, chat. Anybody? Any takers? 55, 62, 67 player option in 88, 89. So still 3 more years for Embiid's contract there. Paul George is got $54, $56 million player option next year. So next season they can trade him as not as an expiring contract, but they can trade him as a player who will be an expiring contract next year. Hey, yo, that's not necessarily the most ideal spot you want to have teams talking about you as. But either way, they're not necessarily, I guess, that far, or they're not necessarily that close. Like, I guess, getting combined there. They're not that close to being a rebuilding team with those contracts. So they are kind of just locked into Maxey as your best players will too. And I like that. So I'm not saying that, I'm not advocating for that. We're, like we said before, degenerate trade machine people. So we just consider it with every team. Like, what is possible? Is it reset the franchise and get could you get the number 3 pick for Maxey this year? Would Brooklyn trade number 3 for Maxey? Would Washington wouldn't trade number 1 for Maxey? I don't think. Boozer or Dembasta for Maxey? I don't even know if it's one of them individually. I mean, obviously, Maxey's a better basketball player right now. I think. He's a better scorer than both those guys. I mean, Dembasta could be obviously the best scorer of the 3 of them, and the versatility for him there as the bigger forward is obviously something to consider. Boozer maybe as the more complete game, maybe down the line the better number 1 option, which is again why he would have the number 1 pick consideration that he has. But just the selection, just the options that you have, I think for Washington, the ability to choose either guy is too valuable at number 1. If the draft lottery were to simulate out like this, do we sim the lottery real quick and see what happens? Can the Spurs win the lottery if we simulate? Okay, who do we got? Oh, Washington does win. Okay, shout out. It's finally time. They didn't win the Cooper Flag lottery, and that's, do we say fair? But, Cooper Flag, yeah, there's some great stars in this draft. There's not quite the face of the league power the way that the Wemby draft had that, or the Cooper Flag draft had that one here. I guess Dallas, speaking of, they do also have, they kind of go with their Spurs arc here, where they get Cooper Flag as like Wemby, and then they get Dembasta or Boozer as their number 2. Oh, chat, that becomes scary right there. Immediately scary. Hey, yo, imagine in this situation. And Indiana gets bummed a little bit, I guess, for dropping a pick, but even still, I guess would Peterson be the one? Oh, chat, Dallas better take Peterson in this scenario. I think Washington might take Peterson, though, at number 1. That would be the way to clear the path for everybody. That would be the most Washington. It has to be Boozer if it's Washington. It almost has to be Boozer. It could be Dembasta, but there's just something about the star power of a Boozer in DC. I don't know. But, either way, it just, we need a franchise type guy. Dembasta next to Sarr is definitely, again, the highest sort of upside play as well. Oh, and is Wemby pulling is he doing what Bam should have done, chat? Hey, yo. Wemby's headed to the sideline at 30 points. Tim Duncan with 32 points in his playoff debut is the most ever by a Spur. So Wemby has a chance to sub back in and get another bucket or 2 and pass that record. I mean, pretty easily. There's 6 minutes here left in the 4th quarter. And they're, I guess now they're up by 15, so they will bring him back in. 6 minutes left. I mean, if they hit one more shot, they cut it to 12. Yeah, Wemby's at the scorer's table right now. So you got to bring him back in anyways to close out the game. 15 points is nothing. That's 3 threes, 9 points. You cut right into that. Then you're right back to a normal game. Oh, Cornette loses the rebound? Okay. At least Keldon Johnson gets it. Offensive foul, though, on Cornette. Oh, chat. Not as foul as Magic City Night. Oh, okay. It is what it is. Cornette, he's out of here. He is out of here. But, yeah. Either way, Brooklyn, I guess, drops 2 spots in the sim in the lottery because they took Igor Denham last year, I guess is the reason. But, what are we saying? Would any of these teams trade for Maxey? Hey, yo, we're already trading Maxey after 1 playoff game, but they're not going anywhere. They're not getting past this Celtics team. Ooh, Advia, the high arcing shot. He got it up over Wemby. It just didn't quite go in the basket. So I don't know if that's the proper angle or not, but that is, still impressive arc on that layup attempt. And heated Mitch Johnson right now. His team up 12, 5 minutes left. He can definitely risk an ejection. Imagine, hey, yo, what a great homage to Greg Popovich getting ejected in your first playoff game. Shout out. I mean, Greg Popovich was obviously not like a Draymond type. Oh, ball don't lie. Advia misses the free throw. Like Greg Popovich would, if he got fired up, there was a necessary circumstance for it. And he would never, run over and, hit the ref in the nuts or anything like that. He just would get fired up every now and then. And, Joey Crawford apparently couldn't handle it, so he would throw him out. It is what it is. It's just how it goes sometimes. But, if Mitch Johnson just trying to get his team fired up for the last couple of minutes here, if he gets ejected now, that doesn't mean, that's not like a suspension ejection. That's not like he has to miss the first half of the next game because he got a technical foul ejection. That's just like, okay, you got to go sit down for the rest of the game. You just get it under control. But Wemby, immediately they sub him back in. Immediately hits a 3. Tim Duncan looks stunned. He's like, wait a second, I just had the record. What just happened? I think they showed it in the Jumbotron because when they showed it on the TV graphic, Wemby was reacting to something and it looked kind of like maybe the crowd was cheering for him to get back in the game to get that record. Because again, with him on the bench at that spot in the game where it's like, are we just going to close out the fourth quarter here with some bench guys? But with those couple shots they made forcing him back in, he is there anyways. But yeah, 33 points now, most by any Spur scored in their playoff debut. So how are things going to go? How are things going to go in the playoffs with Wembanyama? I guess they're going to go okay, at least for now. Scoot, though, the nice little pull-up as well, too. I mean, we got to give him his credit. Maxey for Giannis, chat. Whoa! I don't even know why Philly's doing that trade at that point. Just to match timelines with just to get Giannis is more on their timeline than Maxey is actually. That would be the only reason, just because Giannis is closer in age to Embiid and George. But I guess they have Edgecombe as well too. So then you would have to trade Edgecombe at that point. Edgecombe for Advia. Oh, the Blazers might say no, honestly. What's the trade? Do updated NBA trade value rankings. We got to see where Advia's at. But I guess when we do like a post-playoff player rankings, because we did not have him that high on our playoff fear rankings, and he may have seen that. I guess we forgot. Does any Advia listen to the show? He might listen, and he might have seen our playoff fear rankings, and we had him a little bit disrespected. It is what it is. So that will get corrected when we adjust the rankings this next time. But yeah, either way, hopefully we get a couple of good Maxey games as well too. But yeah, Jalen and Jason Tatum were both cooking in this one, 26 and 25, 25, 11 and 7, 26, 4 and 3. Tatum obviously putting up these near triple-double stat lines. He doesn't get talked about as that type of player, but it has been basically, that 28, 8 and 8, I guess maybe more like a 25, 8 and 8 as he works the scoring back in a little bit, a 23, 8 and 8 potential. But, again, best version of Tatum is basically that same type of triple-double box score there. So, Atlanta versus New York, I guess, McCollum taking the Trae Young role of trying to be the new New York basketball assassin in the Garden, trying to, silence the crowd. And Jalen Johnson was doing a good job for a while of scoring as well, too. But Brunson early was going crazy. Did he have 17 in the first quarter or first half? either way. Most of his points were earlier on. And then Towns finishing up with 25, 10 for 10 from the free throw line. Josh Hart with 14 rebounds in this game as well too. And I know New York fans are always a little delusional about their team. They're always delusional about something. Again, do they always think that they're going to be the number one team in the league, but they're always thinking that they're in contention for that star player and that guy really wants to go to New York and they have enough pieces to be able to get that guy in the trade. And just whatever sort of basketball storyline or basketball narrative it is, they think that they are, in the mix for whatever it is to happen. Oh, chat, in the 2022 draft rerun, the Colts just took Nick Cross. Hey, yo, shout out. We're pro Nick Cross on this pod here. Good players. So we do like that pick. I guess that's why we shouted out. But either way, the New York fans, there is a little bit of delusion this year that is seeming less and less, obviously like delusion because the Knicks are good. But it is more of a confidence almost than a delusion that their team, that it might be the year. I saw this video of this reel of this Knicks fan just screaming so passionately about his team. That I was like, I don't know if San Antonio, I legitimately, like as much as San Antonio fans love this team, and I don't know if that still is just even, the little bits of the remnants of being satisfied from that title run. Because as much as I want to see this team win a title run, it's not like I never have not seen a title in our lives. So a New York Knicks basketball fan that has never seen a NBA basketball championship is, and now we've seen a national basketball championship from college as well too. So we've literally just won a basketball title in the last couple of months. Not to say that that's enough, but as a fan, we're not as starved as the New York Knicks franchise. It is what it is. I mean, that's not even a brag or anything. That's just a fact. That's just like a psychological evaluation of a fan, officially from the REMINGTOM pod. So the Knicks fans are just going to be cheering with their team with, I think, a little bit more urgency than San. And even like OKC. Like OKC has been, like we're saying, arguably best crowd in NBA at times for the biggest games and the biggest moments. I don't think the fans themselves can be quite as hungry as Knicks fans for a championship. Literally, they just won. Boston, the passion is there. Boston has as many finals as any team ever. So literally, you would think that at some point, if a team could get satisfied winning championships, of course, Boston should just be tapped out with what should happen at this point. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It still is a little bit more if you haven't won the title and if it's still that new thing. Because again, like for college basketball, even if we had seen it for the NBA, like there was just an urgency as a fan that we had watching that tournament that, and again, Michigan being awesome as well too, maybe reduced that by a little bit more than some other teams in the past. But I remember seeing that. I remember that first Heat title, obviously, just even if I'm comparing it to my own fandom, like watching that Spurs revenge entire playoff run and having to be like, okay, is this the year finally that we get that ring? Like I remember barely when they got against the Cavs the first time against LeBron, and then everything before that doesn't really register as a basketball memory. But that urgency as a fan watching that run and the excitement when they actually won it was unmatched. So I think the New York Knicks fan base, of course, is, and Detroit as well too. Like again, they haven't won since 2004, so there has been some separation from the fan base for a while. Maybe some of the newer fans, of course, haven't quite witnessed it, and there is a hunger there for a championship. But this is their first season, like we're saying, at that competitive level. So this version of the Knicks team as well too, even Denver, like the Knicks, I think are the one. And I didn't even think about that until right now. But seeing these Knicks fans hyped up about their team, they take care of business yesterday. Brunson has a couple of hot streak moments. And it does seem like maybe they might legitimately be the most hungry team in the playoffs. Again, I don't know if that's actually true. Like OKC did look pretty hungry today. Like I know San Antonio is really, 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 we're projecting maybe, hopefully, but San Antonio's really, really wanting that title. I mean, Denver and Jokic, is anybody hungrier in the league than Jokic? Again, Tatum and Brown are as good as any combo in the league. But all of these situations either have a title or have a little bit of a reason as to why we don't think that they are that top tier contender. And the Knicks are the team that is the top tier contender and don't have the title recently. So as fans and as legacies, I guess, for the teams, they should be a little bit more, their play style may end up being a little bit more intense because of it if they do end up translating that through. But I am a little bit worried about, and again, even if we're speaking about really getting ahead of ourselves, I'm worried about getting past OKC in the Western Conference Finals and then having to play the Knicks again in the championship game, because they did, of course, get the Spurs in the Commissioner's Cup, but also are maybe a little bit borderline the team of destiny. Like, if we did have to assign that, again, it would probably end up being a Spurs versus Knicks battle, or maybe OKC. Like, I just don't know if the Timberwolves are just the same firepower, if they have the same expectations that, again, like the Spurs and the Knicks do, of being that number one finals contender. But either way, they look good against Atlanta as well too, and they should take care, or they look good against Atlanta for the matchup, so they should take care of business there. And then Toronto versus Cleveland, chat. Hey, yo, 2016 or 2026, LeBron James or Donovan Mitchell, it doesn't matter. Cleveland still cooks the Toronto Raptors. It is what it is, just how some things go in the NBA. Advia attacking De'Aaron Fox, chat. I guess just offensively, just driving at him is what we mean. Not any attacks like he's not like assaulting De'Aaron Fox, thankfully. They're not getting into, not Kermit Washington. Hey, yo, we don't mean to call him out. We're just trying to drop some ball knowledge. That's all. Ooh, a nice move. Oh, chat. Hey, yo. I guess the Blazers maybe just out of reach so we can make a compliment, but I mean, he shook Wemby in terms of, there's a you shake him in the crossover, and then there is you create the space for the jumper type of shake, and he uses, oh, chat, Wemby tried to jam it in. Pause. Whoa. Hey, yo. He tried to throw down a crazy dunk to prove a point again on the other end after Advia got the little push off there. But it is just a good use of shifting the weight against him and getting that pullback and hitting that jumper. And I was thinking about this as well, too. I'll propose this to you guys at the end of the episode here before we take off. So you can DM us your answer at REMINGTOM on Instagram, and then we'll maybe take a community answer when we get back for the next live stream. Tuesday, it will be Tuesday night. I guess, hey, yo, that does happen to be game 2 of Spurs versus Blazers. What are the odds? So odds are we'll probably be live during that matchup there. Would be my guess. I don't know if IT has anything else written down as another option, but I think that is definitely the lead time slot at the moment. But watching the highlight videos, I was thinking about this. I do wonder, and I don't know why I was thinking of, I guess their WrestleMania has been on ESPN promo a lot lately, so it's been making me think about combat sports again. Hey, obviously WrestleMania, a combat sport, but it was making me think a little bit about UFC. And watching these NBA highlight videos, I was thinking about, these old NBA highlight videos out there, but I was thinking about, I feel like a lot of people would consider like the poster dunk the knockout of the NBA highlights. Of course, just it being the most physical highlight in a sense. But I do think the crossover is actually more comparable to the knockout than the poster. I don't know if the poster is 1-for-1, like a submission type of comparison if we're doing the combat sports comparison. But I was thinking of I was watching a crossover compilation. I guess I don't know if I like crossover compilations a little bit more than poster dunks, but it's definitely more, I'm more capable of crossing somebody over than I am dunking on them, because I can't dunk on anybody. So it would have to be a crossover. It's just a process of elimination. It is what it is. But in watching these crossover videos, the best ones are sometimes it gets what I call like a soccer goalie crossover, where the defender will just anticipate too much in one direction, and now all of a sudden, it's just that makes misdirection where you crossed them over, and the defender hasn't really been crossed over in terms of their like fallen down or shaken up or anything. It's just they anticipated wrong. So it's still a great move, and obviously all important for creating space in offense. Like, the end of the day, it's not about a highlight per se. It's about creating space and being able to generate a shot or generate a look for somebody else. So you don't have to, completely make somebody trip up. But that is a different type of highlight than when the guy is sliding in one direction and now all of a sudden his feet are just caught in the turf or caught in the court, and now all of a sudden he's just falling over. And the way a guy will cripple on a crossover, I think, is actually more comparable to the way a guy folds on a knockout than, again, like the way the guy reacts to a post or dunk, because there is something instantaneous about a crossover that isn't about that type of crossover. Again, the feet tangle, guy drops over crossover, that doesn't always happen in a post or dunk. I feel like you either, again, I would say you either see it coming or you don't. Pause. But if you don't see a post or dunk happening, to you before it happens, it's literally because it's from, again, pause, but it's from behind. So you literally can't see it. So it's usually, again, a great athletic play for them to be able to get up over the defender. And it's still embarrassing for the defender in some ways that the dunk happened in their presence like that. Hey, yo. But it's different than a guy setting up like a drive. And then some of those times, like, there is a little bit of a, okay, like, we're about to meet moment. And there was obviously that great, and hey, yo, the Spurs fans not livid, I guess livid is mad, but alive, lit up for the end of this game here as we close out game one. I guess they had to wait for the clock to keep running to start cheering again. But we're back, 7-6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom, 1-0, let's go. Hey, yo, I guess 16 more, so 15 more to go is the goal, I guess, for San Antonio. Hey, yo, we just need to keep winning these games so we can get this playoff colorway going. Hey, yo, we can't burn this great design season with just one playoff round, 2 playoff rounds. We need to really maximize this playoff run. Oh, they're going to do the fan chant, chat. Hey, yo, this is great. The energy is there. The community is back. The legends are in the building. Go, Spurs, go. Things are unbelievable, but I don't even... knockouts and crossovers? Hey, yo. So, it seemed like, at least for me, I was thinking, it seems like some dunks, there is a slight degree more of anticipation for what might happen. Where it's like, okay, I know that I'm going up for this block. Like, sometimes, afterwards, it's like, oh, wait a second, did I just get dunked on? But the defender falling over, and you're like, no, wait, I've fallen over? Like, what just happened? And then they're on the ground. They didn't even realize that was even in the works in that moment. And they fell over. I don't know if any of that made sense. But I feel like people crumple to the ground more similarly on a crossover, like a knockout, than they do a poster dunk. It is what it is. But the Spurs cheer for the victory. So, hey, yo, there it is. We got the game ones in the books for round one here, the playoffs. They're back. We're excited. It's going to be fun to follow along here on the Rem and Sam pod all playoff long. So it'll be here on the YouTube. Like I said, we'll be back Tuesday, messing around, watching playoff games. I think we might have some other stuff potentially cooked up as well too. And we do have the draft this week as well. So stay tuned. That is, of course, going to be a lot of fun. The NFL draft, the NBA draft. Draft nights are... we got to clarify, sports draft nights. Hey, yo, when we mean draft nights, we mean only sports drafts. We mean the NFL and the NBA draft, because those are actually, life-changing drafts in the best of ways for the most part. So, and it's just fun as well, too. We just love, obviously, the evaluation process, the what-ifs of the team-building scenarios. So we look forward to being able to watch that and follow along with you guys here on the YouTube. But like I said, we'll be back Tuesday before that. And typically we are live Sunday, Tuesday, Friday as well. So, Hey, yo. I mean, just because we got a special event like the draft this week doesn't mean we have to give you an either or situation. Do a Thursday or a Friday. It just means we get to, I mean, hang out and watch the draft on Thursday and then I guess watch more NBA on Friday. Hey, yo. It is what it is. It's not a long conversation to talk me into doing that. So we will be, back here, like I said, on the YouTube all week. You can follow along. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be fun. It's a great week in sports. Wemby's back. The Spurs are back. I guess I did just see, as I say, the Colts are back, but I did just also see on this NFL Pluto channel that they're running in the mock draft that they were scrolling a little mock draft at the bottom of the screen, and they had Caleb Downs at 16th, which was the pick that the Colts traded for Sauce Gardner. So Caleb Downs, at one point, the best safety in the class. I know, is it Dylan Tieneman or Thompson? What's this guy's name from Oregon? Tieneman? So right now on Tankathon, they have Caleb Downs actually going 11th to Miami and then Tieneman 12th to Dallas. So basically the same level of player there. And Mekhi Lemon, the receiver from USC, to the Jets with that pick. So it could, maybe it's Ty Simpson though. I hope, I don't know what I mean by I hope, but I remember when the Colts traded Trent Richardson for a first round pick back in the day. Not a great trade, but the pick that they did trade did end up becoming Johnny Manziel. So there was a lot of potential, of course. You take a franchise quarterback there that he is going to be that type of influential guy that completely changes everything. You look back and go, oh man, I really wish the Colts have had an opportunity to take Johnny Manziel. Or, it can be, again, a career where like that actually is a little bit of a sigh of relief. We would have loved to have had our pick, but at least the other team didn't continue to make us look even more foolish. Like, people don't continue to bring up the Trent Richardson trade, again, because all parties involved, it just gets washed away. It is what it is. But Mekhi Lemon, if it was Ty Simpson, I don't know if somehow Caleb Downs is available at 16, that is just the type of luck where it's like, I have done nothing but support this guy's career. Ever since he was the number 1 overall ranked, for his position group back in the 24/7 sports days, like we were, definitely having him on the, potential radar for what could happen in the NFL drafts in the future, or even still early on, just what college he could go to and be an impact guy, because it did seem like he was just going to be an impact guy at that level as well too. I know that, you have to kind of be an impact guy in college to be an impact guy, but you get what we're saying. It's not like he was just a flash and athleticism and a traits-based prospect. There was a real production thing that you knew was going to translate to wherever school he went to. And Michigan was one of the finalists. He goes to Alabama. It's like, okay, between Alabama, Michigan, and the Columbus school, like, at least he didn't go to the rival for Michigan. So that's good. The Alabama is a rival, but at least we don't have to play him all the time. So, at least he goes there. And then he goes ahead, enters the transfer portal. So we're like, okay, good. You have a chance to correct your mistake. You can come back to Michigan, pause. And then he goes to the rival school after that. So we're still a fan of him. And then as soon as he goes to the NFL draft, he's going to go to the Colts traded. So we've done nothing but support this man's football career, and he's done nothing but continue to go against us. We'll see what happens. Honestly, again, I hope he goes 11. I hope he goes 6, 7, 8, just so he's off the board and it's not even an option. I mean, Mansour, Delane, Ruben Bain, Carnell Tate, some of the weapons moving up the list as well. But again, Downs, in our mind, probably a top, I would say top 9 easy. Is he a better football player than Carnell Tate? So is he top 8? And is he a better football player than Mayoga? I don't know about that, maybe. I guess we have to go break down more Mayoga film. It is what it is. But, yeah, we were definitely thinking about his evaluation a little bit with the way people were, hyping up the position groups here. But either way, shout out to Mitchell again as well, too, for cooking the Raptors tonight. I guess, nothing too crazy there. Cavs, 8.5-point favorites, taking care of business. So, yep, we can't wait to see you guys for the next live stream Tuesday night. Be here, be square. Otherwise, I guess, IT will make note. It is what it is. We keep a list of those that don't show up to the Tuesday night live stream. It's the Rem and Sam list. Hey yo, whoa, what does that mean? It means you missed the Tuesday night live stream, so don't get on the list. Don't get on the list. It is what it is. We got a little Packers Cowboys game as the rerun option. Hey yo, we might have to change that. Since we're feeling so good about the Spurs right now, I think it's going to be that Spurs Legend Highlights playlist. And then we've been thinking about running Purple Rain, chat. Hey, yo, okay, we're in the weeds now. We're planning our DVD watch cycle. Is it Purple Rain or is it Cradle to the Grave? The MSRM and Sam pod, are dunks more like crossovers, or should we watch Cradle to the